We are live.
That was on there.
That was great. That was perfect.
Ooh.
I had already hit go, and you're like, wait, let me get my beer. Oh! Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 365, your once-weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
As you already know, I'm John.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining on this Wednesday night or in podcast form over on Spotify. I always want to say Anchor. Anchor rolls off the tongue so much better. Screw you, Spotify, for getting rid of it. Over on Spotify or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, sometimes some Star Trek. All super chats are read on the air so long as they will not permanently demonetize the channel. We do drink alcohol on the show, and if you're drinking along with us, alcoholic or not, let us know in the chat and we'll give some early show shoutouts as we go along. Last but not least, if you'd like to take part in the super secret chat and the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Patreon. Link is down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to my Discord server where you can chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and join the awesome community that hangs out over there. Even John.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes you can find me.
No, I was saying all the awesome people. Oh, and there's John.
And there's me.
And there's John. It's good to be back from Vegas. Even though,
yeah, how was that?
Even though I've been sick for like 3 weeks now. Like, I have this cough that just will not go away. Now my voice is back, thankfully. So I will be getting a beer here before too long. Help to calm that down a little bit. Vegas was great. A lot of people hate CES and hate Vegas. I like Las Vegas. I like how busy it is, and there's always something to see. There's always something fun to go do, good places to go eat. You know, it's busy, it's long, it's exhausting, but it's still a lot of fun. Like, I don't hate it.
Yeah, I'd like to go one day.
We'll get you in there next year. We'll get you in there next year. Yeah. Or heck, maybe this year. Maybe DEF CON. We'll finally make it out to DEF CON.
Yeah.
Let's screw it. Let's do it. Let's commit. Let's freaking go to DEF CON this year. I bet I can get someone to sponsor the trip. So let's just commit right here and now. We're gonna go to DEF CON this year.
When is that? When is DEF CON?
August-ish.
Okay.
DEF CON
Yeah, we
2025.
could do that.
August 7th through 10th.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah. Screw it. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I've never been. I don't have any agenda. Let's just go walk around DEF CON for a couple of days. That'll be fun.
Unmute. Was that me? Did I get muted?
I don't think so.
No, it just said. Oh, I think it was. Never mind. I think it was just something over my screen.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was something over my screen.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, screw it. Let's go to DEF CON. That sounds fun.
And if we miss the flight, we know all the cool breweries around the airport.
That's right. Still the only flight I've ever missed. Yeah, if you guys didn't catch us last year, we were actually supposed to go to DEF CON this last year. And I read the departing time wrong. I think I thought it was 2:50, and it turns out it was 2:15 or 2:10 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we caught traffic on the way up to the airport. And we still got there with like 45 minutes to spare. And we could have made it through security and ran to the gate and gotten on the plane. But we got to the ticket desk to check in, and they went, They weren't even going to let us try.
Like, they said, sorry, you can't even try. You're 5 or 10 minutes too late.
Yeah.
You have to check in 1 hour before. It's like, but it's not busy.
It's 53 minutes before. Like,
yeah.
There's 17 people in the security line. Like, come on, lady. And
yeah.
Nope.
She's like, no. Nope. I was like, you're kidding me.
Yeah, there was no arguing it. There was no getting around it. We were late. Like, I'll fully admit we were late, but come on. I've never seen PDX that empty.
Yeah, I know.
So we went and had beer at Level Brewing. That was good anyway. It wasn't Vegas, and it wasn't the Abel Baker pod live stream we were hoping to have later that evening, but
I know that was sponsored by Abel Baker too.
Right. Yeah, Abel Baker was providing us beer and dinner and everything else, and I had to call them and go, "Hey guys, maybe next year, maybe next time I'm in town." So. Veronica's in chat. Hello, Veronica. Hey, all, just got finished watching Fistful of Data. Such a good family-friendly TNG episode. Heck yes. I love Data in Old West garb. It's so great. It's one of the few good holodeck episodes from TNG.
Yeah, I like the Moriarty, the Sherlock Holmes ones. I always like those.
Moriarty's are always interesting. And I do like that they brought him back as a security program for Picard Season 3. I thought that was fantastic.
Yes, that was fun.
Yeah, Daystrom had him locked up and gave him a job, basically. The errant holodeck program rehabilitation. Zach is in chat, wants to know if the A5000 coasters are in for this show. You know what? Yeah, this is the most recent edition, so tell you what, I'm going to use an A5000 for a coaster for this show. Just because it'll trigger people. I'm even gonna take a picture of it to prove I'm doing it. Let's see. Jason Bundy says, hated living in Vegas, but a great vacation spot. Oh yeah, I would absolutely despise if I had to live there. But going there 2 weeks a year, it's nice. Hotels are always pretty nice. You get really good rooms for really good prices. I mean, food's expensive, but they have no open container laws, just no glass containers, and so you can buy a beer on the sidewalk and just walk around. Like, of all the vacation spots I can think of, that's pretty high on my list of things that I'd like to be able to do.
I'm gonna say I might want to live there now, actually, just right? For that law. I like everything else. I sacrifice. Like, I don't care. Oh, open container, yes.
What's really fun is the Las Vegas airport, LAS. It's not like Portland. Have you ever been to Las Vegas airport?
I stepped out of Vegas once into the airport, and I was there for about an hour.
Okay.
I got to do the slots machine, but this is like 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
I got to play slots for like 45 minutes and had to board back on my plane.
Well, you're familiar with like Oregon liquor laws, where any restaurant or restaurateur, you have a license for what you can sell, what you can open, no outside beverages, and you have a cordoned off area in which you can allow customers to drink in, right? Mm-hmm. Vegas doesn't have open container laws and doesn't have, you can't walk around anywhere. That includes the airport. So you can go get a beer from a restaurant and then walk to Burger King and sit down and have like a Whopper and a beer in the Vegas airport. Which is exactly what I did on the way home. I'm like, I'm hungry, but I don't want to spend a lot of money, but I want a beer. So I went and got a pint of beer and then walked down the aisle and got a, I think like a Bacon King burger or something like that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about.
Right?
I need to convince my work that we need a Vegas office.
Yeah.
I'll have to go set it up and spend the week over there.
But yeah, like every restaurant you go to has cocktails to go. Like you can just go get a cocktail and yeah, give me in a sippy cup, please. Thank you. And off you go. It's great.
I mean, technically, Oregon kind of has that law. I just have my drink inside of a Coke can.
Yeah.
All right. What we got? What's going on here? What's everyone drinking tonight?
Novella has some beer mail for me, but I've left the beer mail in my garage because he sent me a 4-pack of 2 different beers that we've been looking at. One of them was the Shell's cave-aged, barrel-aged black lager. I don't know if you saw that one. We were talking about it like late December or something like that. He bought a 4-pack of that, and he bought a 4-pack of something else, and I know it was another one that I was looking forward to. Anyway, I have a bottle for each of you guys.
Nice.
I've also got. I need to get you some of this. Speaking of what we're drinking tonight, this is Treg's the Mad Elf.
Okay.
This beer shouldn't be allowed to exist. What I mean by that is both in flavor and ABV content. Because it tastes like a cherry limeade soda. Maybe like a slightly alcoholic seltzer. If I had to guess, I'd guess like 4%, trending 4.5.
Okay, yeah.
It's 11.
Ooh.
And it does not taste like that.
So wait, is it a seltzer or is it like a sour?
No, it's a spicy Belgian ale.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like a Christmassy cherry, slightly sour, slightly spicy Belgian. And it's great.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, and it's 11%.
Oh. Yeah, that probably shouldn't exist because I'm betting you could if you could do that and taste as smooth as you're saying.
Oh,
you could have a 6-pack of that and not know what you're doing.
Yeah. I've also got from Cape May Brewing out of New Jersey, I believe. Yeah, Cape May, New Jersey. This is the double IPA Coastal Evacuation. Double IPA, a big, bold blend of hops. So East Coast, West Coast style IPA. Not a hazy, but 8%. And then, remember I mentioned non-alcoholic beers. I've got an Athletic IPA, 0%. Run Wild IPA. So, I think I'm gonna start with the 11%er just to prove how delicious and ABV not forward it is. And then I'll ease myself into the other beers.
I don't have any double digits today, but I mean, if we need to, I can. I'll get into it.
I'm not going to force you to do anything. I'm just stating what I have. So there we go. Beautiful looking beer. The head on it is gorgeous. It's
Yeah, with the head on it, the nice khaki head on it, it's going to be a malt forward, or was originally malt forward. It's not, a lighter beer.
Right.
Essentially, it's not a sour, like a fruited sour where it has a white Sour Patch Kid looking head, type thing.
Sorry, I have to prove to everyone that I'm using the A5000 as a coaster here. There we go.
Get that pick.
I'm even balancing the glass on the fan.
I'm going to have Thin Man Brewing's Trial by Wombat IPA.
Ooh, I like that name.
Yeah, I know, right? I like the can.
That's great.
Doesn't look like anything super special. Honestly, just bought it for the name and can.
Yep.
It's coming in at 7%.
Nice.
Very reasonable.
Yeah.
Nice.
Old
citrusy.
Old Poi joining the membership. Good to see you there. Jay, just Jay, also joining the membership. Thank you, guys. Let's see. Skull says, "Hey everyone." Jay says, "I think the Mad Elf is a quad." Yeah, it's a Belgian quad.
Okay.
Let's see. Reverend is cracking a freeze-out barrel-aged Russian Imperial Stout from Kettle House Brewing. Bonner, Montana, 12%, 4.13 on Untapped.
Ooh.
That's up there. Let's see. I didn't see too many beers up here. Sonic is Slow is having a Ukrainian Messenger from Round Guys Brewing, coming in at 9.6% Ukrainian Imperial Stout. That is one I've not heard of before.
There is Michael's having a Younglings Lager. What was it? I had to go to Tennessee and Kansas City a couple weeks back, overnight trips, and they were supposed to be like 3 hours in each office. I'm literally just replacing a firewall, and it's all pre-programmed. And I'm just there to double check everything and check all the IP addresses, make sure the printers work.
Yeah.
And I get in there and it's a cluster. So much work. Every office was like 12 to 13 hours of work. I'm working till 3, 4 in the morning, and the only thing open was a gas station, a Pilot. I was like, oh, I know a Pilot. You know, we have ours by our place. And I'm thinking it's a big place like that because I see the sign in the distance.
Right.
I go there. It's this tiny little, here 76.
Yeah, here in Oregon, Pilots are the truck stops typically. Yeah. And so they're the large establishments, huge convenience stores, usually a couple of restaurants attached to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm thinking. And I go in there and it's like a 76 tiny little gas station, one guy behind the counter, 2 coolers, and all they had was like, I need food. And I'm looking at, their little rotary thing. I'm like, I'm not having that one hot dog that has hair on it. It's like, no way. I need something. And all they had were domestics. And then I look over and there's a 6-pack of Younglings. And I was like, all right, I just grabbed that. And I had, it was
That'll
5 of those that I was like, yeah. And I had 5 of those that night. Be like, all right, I'm just sitting in my bed. I need food. Younglings will do it. And that was the first time I even got to try Younglings beer. Was nice. Actually, we had the Hershey's chocolate one, but the traditional lager. And I was just like, and now I have a very fond memory of Younglings saving my night. And honestly, I actually really kind of liked it. It was a nice, easy drinking malty lager.
Yeah. Harley's got a Rogue Dead and Dead. That's a good one.
Oh yeah, very good.
Yeah. BC's got a Blue Moon. Nothing wrong with a Blue Moon. I like a good Belgian white. Blue Moon is actually some of the first non-Oregon craft beer that I ever tried, and it was still Blue Moon at the time. It wasn't AB InBev yet. But yeah, I like a good Blue Moon. I still, if I'm at a barbecue and they've got like, yeah, do you want a beer? And it's like Bud and Coors and whatnot, and they're like, oh, and we've got some craft, and there's a Blue Moon in there. I'm taking the Blue Moon.
I'll take that. Yeah,
I got nothing against the Blue Moon.
Nope. In fact, if you go on my channel, like one of the first videos is Jeff making a Blue Moon milkshake cocktail.
Heck yes, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I reverse engineered that recipe.
Yeah.
I forgot about that video. Yeah. Is it Chili's or Red Robin?
I think you said it was Red Robin.
I think it was Red Robin. Red Robin for a while had a Blue Moon shake. And it was exactly what it sounds like. It was a milkshake made with Blue Moon and an orange wedge or an orange wheel.
Yeah.
And it also had a little bit of triple sec in it, if I remember, or orange liqueur. To kind of, bring it out, make it a little bit more effervescent. That was a really good milkshake.
It was a good milkshake. Yeah.
I got to go rewatch that and make one of those again. That was
it looks so bad. the video, I was like, oh, that quality.
Yeah, we were a little crunchy back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were still working on lighting and yeah.
Yep.
We should revisit that one actually. That might be fun.
That would be fun.
That would be fun. I have 90% of the parts for your new PC as well, so maybe we do need to revisit that one.
Yeah, we could.
Mm-hmm.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
I actually, it's funny. I just picked up a 3060 for 12 gig version for dirt cheap, and I was like, I just couldn't pass it up.
Nice.
And so I it was $160 for the 12 gig, and I was like, I can't pass that up for right now. I was like, all right, I'll throw that in there, and that's been running really nice. And now I just need a power supply.
Yeah. I have a power supply. I have a motherboard. I have a CPU. I have a cooler. I think I have a case. Yes, I have a case. I can't talk about the case yet, but I have a case. And I have a graphics card for you too.
Okay.
Asus was kind enough to send over a 4070 Super for you.
I love them so much.
I love that you just bought a 3060, and I'm like, oh, by the way.
I know. Well, I mean, at the time though, I'll still use the 3060.
Yeah.
I mean, I just gave my nephew. I had a 1060 Ti, and I was like, here you go.
Yeah.
He wanted something new. He was rocking a 990, and I was like, all right, this is a little bit of an upgrade, you know. And he had, I think I posted it on the Discord, the worst looking PC, like the dust, and he was running off of a laptop hard drive as his boot.
Oh man,
and it was just like, oh, this is Frankenstein.
Oh, I remember that
at its
picture.
best.
Yeah. Oh man,
it's like, this is horror. So I hooked him up with an older case I had stashed away, but it was like, you know, much nicer than anything he had.
Yeah,
it was like 32 gigs, and it's like, all right, here you go. It's not great, but it's leaps and bounds above what you've had, and it's free.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. And then I found that graphics card, and I was like, oh, that is just so cheap. I can't pass that up. And
yeah.
So
that's a great deal for a 12 gig graphics card.
Yeah, then that was the only reason I even like asked the guy if he'd go that low.
Yeah.
Was because it was the 12 gig version. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that okay, I'll go with that. That's fine.
But no, what was really funny is I reached out to Asus because I said, hey, I've got a computer build in mind. It was for you, and I said I'm looking for a motherboard because I've got a processor for you, and I said I just need a motherboard to go with it. And they went, oh yeah, we'll send over one of the like Z890 like top of the line boards, like a $400 board or something like that. I'm like, okay, cool, that sounds great. And they went, do you need anything else for the build? And I went, I don't know, what do you got? And they went, well, we'll send you over a 360 AIO and a power supply and this and this. Oh, and by the way, how's a 4070 super sound? I went, I'm not gonna say no. Like that.
Yeah.
You're welcome, John.
What we need to do, we need to somehow blow my power supply to actually see if it is that 1,000 watts, the lightest 1,000-watt power supply you have ever seen.
The problem with pulling power from a power supply is it's actually more difficult than you think it is.
Really?
Which is why testing power supplies is so rare. It's why anyone outside of, like back in the day, Johnny Guru did power supply testing, and he actually had a power supply tester. And what you do is you measure the in and out efficiency of it. And you're able to put a static load on the power supply. You measure the sine wave efficiency, the cleanliness of the power. You measure the efficiency curve of it. So is this actually an 80 plus or 90 plus efficient power supply? And you can put such a load on it that you cause them to fail, and you rate it based on the failure point. Mm-hmm. Because it's not if you buy an 800 watt power supply, it's not as simple as this will deliver 800 watts. No, it will deliver at 80% load, 80% efficient. So, you know, your 740 watt load at 80% efficiency, which means you're actually feeding it 800 watts and you're delivering to your PC 740 watts of usable. And that doesn't mean that if you request more power, it won't try to deliver more power. It just starts heating up at that point. And heat is the death of electronics. And if your electronics and your capacitors and your regulators and everything can't handle that additional current being passed through, things start to fail. That's why testing power supplies is difficult. That being said, I'd love to set your power supply on fire. Like,
I know we've had that. That was a video that never got released, and we took apart my old computer to upgrade it, and you didn't have a power supply, and so we had to use my old one that was technically says 100 or 1,000 watts, but that thing probably weighed as much as a 400, 300 watt power supply.
You're being generous. So as someone who has had hands inside literally thousands of PCs, I would equate yours to some of the 230 to 350 OEM box power supplies that we got in like off-the-shelf white box PCs. Like that's about the weight of what it had in it. That was the gauge of the cables. That was everything else into like. I'd like to say at this point in my life, I can pick up a power supply and go, yeah, that's about 600 watts.
Just from the weight. Like, I got this.
Right.
That's a good guess.
I'm guessing 350 on yours.
That would be a fun game.
That would be a fun game.
Could you tell just from the weight of this power supply? There's a quick little Jeff Craft Computing short video.
Oh yeah.
Can Jeff tell the weight of these 4 power supplies? Or ampage or power.
Jay says, I'd love to set your power supply on fire. Geez, buy the guy a drink first. We do have a super chat from the Barista Gamer, sends over $5. Thank you very much. Hope you had a good CES time. Did you chat with or have any coverage of the X-Real 1 Pros in the future? We ended up not doing basically any CES coverage minus my podcast, and that's because I was in no shape to deliver anything on camera. It turns out I tested positive for the flu, which I found out on Friday of CES after getting tested the Friday before for like any manner of things. And they came back on Saturday morning, but the day before I flew out, and said, yeah, you don't have, COVID or anything like that. You're good to fly. And, well, apparently they sent out for another screening, or like they ran further labs, and I got a call on Friday that I actually had the flu type A. And that's why I was so sick for like almost a week and a half, 2 weeks, and why I had that lingering thing the entire week of CES, and while I'm still dealing with that cough over a week later. So yeah, I had the flu. So that's fun. But your voice is very much a muscle, and I used to be the kind of person where if I talked for like 30 minutes a day, I would actually start to lose my voice. And over the years of doing craft computing, I've gotten so strong. I can talk all day, every day at a projected volume, and I'm good. Like it's a really strong muscle at this point. The entire week of CES, if I spoke for 5 minutes at like in a hotel room, I lost my voice. And so Steve was doing most of the talking, and I'd be like as quiet as I could, like as meekly as I could, but I was in no condition to deliver anything on camera.
Everyone's like, wow, this craft computing guy's like really shy.
Right. No, and that's what it felt like too. And also when you're sick, you feel ill, and you feel like you don't have the energy and everything else.
Yeah.
It just, I had a blast at CES, but it was definitely more fun in previous years because I've had a lot more energy in previous years. That being said, I had a wonderful conversation with X-Real. I did stop by the booth. I did try on a pair of the X1 Pros. I do have a request out to get a review sample of them. Apparently the latest version is going to launch this coming April, is what I'm hearing. They have upgraded resolution, upgraded refresh rate. They're full 120 hertz instead of originally the X-Real Airs which is the glasses that I reviewed last time. Those shipped at 1080p and 60 hertz. Through software later on, they upped that to 90 hertz. And so you could apply a firmware update and then run at 90 hertz, which was freaking awesome if you're like using them for gaming and whatnot. On Mac OS and then later on Windows, they also introduced their Xreal, I forget the name of their application, for the desktop PC. But basically, it allowed you to create 3 virtual displays when you plugged in the glasses, and it projected them out in space. And so you could sit there as if you had triple monitors in front of you, triple 1080p monitors in front of you, and you could look around, which was great. The problem with the Xreal Airs is they're only 3 degree of freedom. They only track rotational data. They don't track depth data. And so they're locked to your vision wherever you're at. Which makes a lot of people ill. That was a problem with, I know when you tried the original Oculus Rift, when I had that was a 3 degree of freedom tracker. It's like, okay, I'm going to put you in a race car. Don't move.
Yeah.
The new X1 Pros have 6 degree of freedom tracking and the 3 virtual displays out in space. And so if you have a hard time reading something, you can lean in and see it closer.
Yeah.
And I believe they're upping the virtual resolution up to 1440p as well. So you could, on an airplane with like my little tiny WinMax 2 laptop, I could plug in my glasses with a single USB-C cable and get triple 1440p screens out in front of me. And I could look around and I could lean in and I could do all that kind of stuff. That's what... and your glasses, by the way, are displaying 1440p per eye at 120 hertz. That's what's coming in April. I did not have any coverage during the show. I'm going to cover the crap out of these if they're any good. And I tried them, and they are very good.
How big are they?
They're not that much... do I have them here? No, they're upstairs. Shoot. Some of my glasses are over here. Which ones do I have here? One sec.
All right. As we wait, what do we got in the chat? There's that cough again. Almost didn't breathe her day. Fake wattage. GPU. Yep. Power supply. PSU.
I don't see my Xreal Airs, and I don't see my TCL Ray Neos either, which are very, very compatible with each other, or very similar to each other. They're not like heads-up displays that you've seen before. These are my Zeiss ones. These are ginormous compared to the Xreals.
Really?
Yeah. The Xreals are thicker than your glasses, but not that much thicker than your glasses. Most of the weight is in the temple and on the upper brim. They have basically little projectors that shoot down into a refractive portion of the glass and reflect back into your eye. They're maybe 3/8 of an inch thick on the top brim. And then the temples of them have some weight to them because that's where all the electronics are at.
Yeah. I figure it's got to be on
but they're
the
not
arms
terrible. I mean, I've seen people with thicker brimmed glasses that are of similar form factor that are not smart glasses at all.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they're actually quite comfortable and very wearable. They're something like 85 or 90 grams. Like they're not heavy. I have successfully worn mine on a 5-hour flight for the duration of 5 hours. Watching a 3D movie and then playing some games on my Steam Deck, and perfectly comfortable the entire time.
That is something I wouldn't mind having. Yeah, they're what, about $500?
Yeah, the X1 Pros, I think they're The X1 Pros, I think, are trending closer to 700. The X Real Airs, which are actually still very, very good, you could get them under $300 recently.
But those only have the 3-degree movements, right?
They only have 3-degree. Yeah. They're only 1080p per eye and 90 hertz. They're still very good. And so if you have like a gaming handheld or a laptop or something like that, and you want just a giant screen in front of you, it's legit. You've seen my 43-inch monitor, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the same distance, it's about a 70-inch screen. So if you imagine the 43 out in front of me, like you could almost add 60 to 70% in size to that.
Jeez.
And it fills your field of view when you're looking at the static image and you just lock it to your head. And it feels comfortable. It feels like a 70-inch screen at about a little bit more than arm's length, maybe about 3 feet away from you. Yeah, it's fantastic. Kraft, is that the glasses they showed off on Fallon? Yes, Linus did show off on Fallon the X1 Pros. So, yeah, that was one of the things that he did. But yes, I will be covering that absolutely when they launch, as we get closer to launch. Xreal in the past has actually been a big sponsor of Craft Computing. They've sponsored 2 separate videos, including one of my trips to Augmented World Expo in San Jose a couple years ago, where I interviewed their CEO and picked his brain and might have influenced a future product decision during that interview. So yeah, they know me, I know them. We have a great working relationship, and I'm sure that's going to continue this year. Anyway, that's a great segue into like the rest of the actual news.
There we go.
By the way, I'm more than halfway through this beer. It's good. Oh, is it good? We will start with some preliminary performance information for RTX 50 series cards.
Jeez.
Obviously, this is going to be... NVIDIA made some claims. I made a statement last week in which I said I'm going to believe NVIDIA until proven otherwise, because NVIDIA has made similar claims before. What am I talking about there? NVIDIA said on stage that the RTX 5070, priced at $549 MSRP, and I confirmed with multiple AIBs that they will be coming out with MSRP level cards at $549. There's going to be some that are, better cooling design and more RGB and stuff like that. But I know Zotac and I know Asus at the very least, and I think Gigabyte all confirmed with me that they will have 5070s at MSRP at $549. And then cards trending to like 630 or something like that. Prices very much unfinished at this point, but they will hit MSRP prices. NVIDIA said on stage that the 5070 at $549 gets you RTX 4090 performance. Right? That's a claim. That's bulletin board material if you're a reviewer.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Right. You put a pin in that and you go, we're going to test it. Now here's the deal. A lot of people are skeptical, and I love that you're skeptical. I'm a bit skeptical, but the reason I'm kind of like apprehensively excited for that is NVIDIA made this claim last year with the launch of the 4070 Super, when they said the 4070 Super was equal in performance to an RTX 3090. They made the exact same claim. And in my testing, it was within margin of error. It was plus or minus 2%. I think the 3090 won, but by 2%. So the claim checks out. Will the claim check out again? I don't know. But it wasn't just like, oh, when you enable DLSS 3.5 and you ignore DLSS on the 3090, like, that's not the game we're playing here. A lot of people who are skeptical of this newer claim, the 5070 is equal to a 4090 when it comes to performance, is saying, oh, but they're saying when you enable DLSS. The 4090 has DLSS as well. Like, whatever playing field we're going to be on is going to be an equal playing field. Whether we're talking about DLSS enabled and then matching that performance, or strictly talking rasterization and then matching that performance, or simply talking ray tracing and then matching that performance. This is an inexact science. But Blackwell has been on the market. NVIDIA Blackwell architecture, which is what the 50 series is off of, has been on the market since March. You might not know this because it's been in the enterprise. It's been for data centers. It's been for AI processing in the NVIDIA B100 and B200 cards. Those cards have very well-known performance when it comes to FP16, FP32, so your floating point performance, which is actually what most of CUDA does. Most of your gaming performance, rasterization speaking, is down to CUDA performance when it comes to floating point evaluation, whether it's FP8, FP16, FP32. And what's really funny is a lot of the AI processing is based off that same calculation. What we know about NVIDIA Blackwell versus NVIDIA Ada is NVIDIA Blackwell has between a 40 and 55% improvement per CUDA core architecturally. It's very similar to Ada over Ampere. We saw about a 50% improvement when we went to Ampere, or when we went from Ampere 30 series to Ada Lovelace 40 series. So we've seen that generational improvement before. And if we compare floating point performance of a B100 to floating point performance of an A100, the Ada-based, we see about 40 to 55% spec for spec improvement based on the architecture. That tells me it's going to be close. The 5070 may not quite scratch the 4090 in straight rasterization, but maybe it gets 85% of the way there. And maybe when you take into account DLSS 4.0, it gets 100% of the way there. Is that good enough to validate NVIDIA's claim? Maybe. Maybe. But I know it's going to be closer than people think. Right now, people are thinking, oh, it's going to be, the 5070 is going to have 4070 Ti, basically half a bump to the card. It's going to be bigger than that. Just from what we know about the architecture in publicly released benchmarks today. Based on 9 months of testing from AI professionals who, by the way, do a lot more floating point calculations than you do. We see somewhere between 40 and 55% architectural improvement between Ada Lovelace and Blackwell.
So, if it does happen, let's go with the 80%, decent enough to make it a viable purchase. Wouldn't then that the consumer think, why would I then buy a 5090? Because in a year and a half or less than 2 years,
right,
the 60 series is going to come out, and it's going to save me $1,000.
Yeah.
Aren't they why would that kind of almost sounds like they are killing the 90 side of all these cards, and those are only for the people that want the latest and greatest for 1 year.
The 90
and
is
the luxury item.
Thank you. I don't know if NVIDIA is going to like my stance on this, but I think it's going to be the stance from a lot of reviewers, from a couple people that I've talked to. shit's expensive right now. Everything's expensive right now. Okay. And a lot of reviewers had a problem when we started pushing graphics cards towards $1,000. Like, remember the GTX 1080 launched for $599, and then the Titan launched for $1,000, and people went, the Titan's 20% better, but it's stupid. Like, if you want the best, it's there, but it's $1,000, and it's stupid, and it's great, but it's stupid. Like, that was the overall consensus, right? And then we got the 2080 Ti and the RTX Titan. And the RTX, I think the 2080 Ti was $1,000. They pushed the Titan aside, and the 2080 Ti was $1,000, and the 2080 was $800. And your 2070 was like $599. And people went, well, $799, that kind of makes sense for a graphics card, but $1,000, that's still kind of stupid. But then we have the RTX Titan for like $1,300. That's stupid. And then Ampere came out, and we got the 3090 for $1,500, and they eliminated the Titan name entirely and just called it a 90 series card, trying to group it with the rest of the cards that had the regular product name. So we got the 3080 for $1,000, and then we got the 3090 for $1,500. But at this point, the people who were buying Titans started winning out against the people who would never buy a Titan. And suddenly $1,500 was like, yeah, it's really expensive, but it's the best graphics card that's ever been made. And if you want the best, it's going to cost you. And so, like, right around that time, the conversation shifted a little bit. But then we got the 4090 for $1,600. Really closer to $2,000 and $2,200 because of stock and AI and all the unavailability of the 4090. Yeah. In fact, I'm ashamed to say I paid $2,600 for my 3090. I own a 3090. It's still in my computer right over there because it has 24 gigs of VRAM. And it's what I use for video editing. And I paid $2,600 for that because at the time I was upgrading my camera, and sorry, my 11 gigabyte 1080 Ti was not cutting my video edit anymore. I needed 24 gigs of VRAM, and guess what was the most affordable way to do that? It was $2,600 on eBay for a 3090. The 4090 came out for $1,600. And it's like, well, you bought the 3090 for $1,500. This is $100 more, and it's like 50 to 60% better. Why wouldn't you buy that card? Like, right? And especially when the 4080 is that they're at like $1,200, like the $400 jump. Like, if you're already spending $12, just spend the $16 and get the 4090. You'd be stupid not to, right? The 50 series cards were in a situation where the 5090 is $2,000 plus.
Yeah,
it's gonna be $2,000 to $2,400 depending on which AIB you buy from. None of the AIBs that I talked to were ready to talk price. They did say they would have cards for MSRP. I think Zotac was the only one that admitted they would have a card for $19.99. No one else would say, yes, we will have an MSRP 5090. Which means you're going to spend $2,200 on this card. But the 80 series got a price break back down to $1,000. And it's less than half as performant. And so right now we're at 10,800 CUDA cores, I believe, on the 5080, and 22,000 CUDA cores on the 5090. So there is literally a 100% and 200% performance level card available at $1,000 and $2,000. And to rephrase what I said before, I don't know if you've noticed, but everything's expensive right now. And the 5090, I feel, is kind of the circle back point of it's now the supercar. It's a luxury item again. It's a Gucci handbag. It's a Ferrari 599. You don't need it.
You don't need it, but to me, it's. I don't know if they're shooting themselves in the foot by doing this type of thing. Of every less than 2 years, their base model is as powerful as the previous top of the line model, and it's 1/3 the cost.
Right.
And so they're basically, here's this luxury car. You go and buy this Ferrari, and the Ferrari's only good for 2 years, and now it's the same price as a Honda Accord.
Right.
You know, and a 10-year-old Honda Accord.
Yeah.
And our brand new 2025 Honda Accord is faster than your old Ferrari, or you know, just as good.
Yep.
And might actually and has the name recognition of the higher model.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's shooting themselves in the foot. It would be almost better if you were like, it's as good as the mid-tier model, you know, or a little bit extra. I don't know. That's just, there could be business behind it, and there's reports and statistics and pricing. It's like, hey, this is the model. Right. We know it works. Just seems odd to me, and it's like, why would you do that?
And I say this as a reviewer who has a 5090 Founders Edition on the way from NVIDIA. And again, I feel I need to disclose, since we're talking about this, NVIDIA did pay for my CES trip and 3 days of my hotel while I was there. And I went to the press conference, and then we talked about it on Wednesday, and like that's all. That was the full agreement. Like there's no like sponsored agenda here or anything like that. And like I said, I don't know if NVIDIA is really genuinely going to like my opinion on the 5090, but I feel I also need to be very true to my roots and call a luxury item what it is. Like, if I were not doing this, not only would I not buy a 5090, I can't afford a 5090. Flat out. It's not in my budget, even as a luxury item. I
mean, I still think the video of the 5070 or whatever, what's the 5060, 70, will be a better review against the 4070. That's going to be a more entertaining video than just, let's see what the 5090 can do. Let's crank it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool, but what does the base model do? That's what I'm kind of getting at. These base models, to me, are more impressive than the Ferraris. They're at a price point that's pretty decent so far most of the time. And what they can do that's just mind-boggling. I think that we originally felt that way about the 30 series. When that first came out, we're like, no, there's no way it's going to be this huge leap and bound in graphics. And it really was. And it really was. It's like, oh, and right now I'm only impressed now mostly with the base models of holy crap. It's as good as the highest end. Yeah, they pushed the luxury, the 90 series, the 90s into the high ends. It's like, wow, that's really impressive. You did that last year. You did that the year before.
Yep.
I'm more impressed with your base model now. That's actually fantastic. And you're doing it at a consumer decent price. Yeah. Holy cow. I'm probably not going to go and buy it because I'll buy a model 2 years ago. But because you did that, I can now go find a 30 series that's 12 gigs for under $200.
I think you said it. The $2,000 price point of the 5090 may end up shooting NVIDIA in the foot a little bit here, because that's the model that's launching first. That's the model you're going to see reviews for first. And as I've mentioned on the channel before, when you do strictly bottleneck controlled benchmarking, finding out how fast a 5090 can possibly go with the world's best CPU and best RAM configuration and best SSD and best monitor and everything else. And then you use that same criteria to test every other graphics card below it. Every other graphics card below it is now a comparison to how much worse it is than a 5090.
Yeah.
And as we'll talk about in our very next story, I was right. But I'm glad that's part of the conversation now, is the performance disparity has gotten to a point that if you're testing, you know what, we'll just walk into this. If you're testing an Intel B580 graphics card, which is a $250 budget card, it's the cheapest high-end graphics card that you can buy today. But you're pairing it with a $450 CPU and a $600 motherboard and 64 gigs of the fastest DDR5 memory you can muster, and Gen 5 NVMe storage and everything else. And then you're testing it at ultra settings, and the CPU is holding a lot of that load even at 1440p and 4K. And you go, this is the best $250 graphics card we've seen in the last 5 years. Go out and buy this immediately.
Yeah.
And then people go out and buy it immediately, but they buy it as an upgrade for their Ryzen 2600, or they're putting in a brand new build with an Intel 12400 or a Ryzen 7400F or something like that. And suddenly we're learning that it's slower than an RTX 4060 because the drivers don't keep up. There's overhead with the drivers that aren't able to process fast enough to feed the graphics card fast enough. And it's not even a CPU speed issue. It's simply the drivers don't work well with the CPU architecture that's less than current generation max speed.
Yeah.
Suddenly that $250 graphics card isn't the budget card that you thought it was. And your answer changes because your testing methodology changes. If only someone had said that 2 years ago.
If only there was a channel that.
And yes, I'm going to continue jerking myself off to the fact that I was freaking right, and now we're having the conversation 2 years ago.
Jeff is just sitting there looping himself up.
I'm just saying, when you have consumers' best interest and you want to deliver the best answer possible for what should I buy, the answer is not eliminate all bottlenecks and figure everything else out later. And as valuable as that information is in finding out what is the best product, it turns out when you add variables to an infinitely variable calculation, your answer changes sometimes. Just food for thought. What are we talking about? The Intel B580. Oh, dang it. Come on. Come on, Firefox. Don't do that. There we go. The Intel B580, when you pair it with older generation CPUs, doesn't perform nearly as well as it does with the latest generation CPUs. And is actually slower in performance to the RTX 4060 and the RX 7600. Whereas if you pair it with like a 9700X3D, the fastest gaming CPU on the planet, the B580 beats those GPUs by 30%. And loses by 20 if you don't. Zach says, no fair. You change the results by measuring. In a quantum finish. Yes. Being right is not necessarily always the answer you need to look for. And that's the whole point I was trying to make 2 years ago. That when you're reviewing, especially budget items, especially items of a $250 graphics card or a $130 motherboard or a $60 kit of RAM or a $200 CPU, You're not going to be the fastest. So what should you pair those parts with? And what are your actual results in the real
Yeah, I mean,
world?
you have to consider with those price points the reason who were the manufacturers trying to get to buy this. Okay, it's budgeting people.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are the reviewer and coming up with a video, you need to think about that and be like, I need to then think about, put my mindset in who's buying this graphics card, whether it's a person who's buying their first PC for the first time
Mm-hmm.
and has to buy it on a budget because that's the reason they bought this particular card. Otherwise, they wouldn't care. Or someone that's upgrading. Well, if they're upgrading, what's probably in their system? Well, it's probably within 5 to 10 years old. I need to build with something around that generation.
Or build with strictly budget parts.
Yeah, or build with strictly budget parts.
Yeah.
Don't go and be like, oh, here's my test bench, because it's the latest and greatest of everything that all my sponsors have given me and what I use because I need to know the top of the performance, top of the line of everything to get the best out of everything.
Right.
Yeah, you're gonna get some different performance speeds.
Yeah.
You're gonna get some different results and be like, yeah, it's great, and go and do it. You're not technically wrong.
Did reviewers testing the B580 with the 9700X3D come up with the right answer of what is the faster graphics card, the B580 or the RTX 4060 or the RX 7600? Yes, they did. In that scenario. The problem is that's not a realistic scenario. And it didn't answer important questions if you flip the script. And this is something that I talked to Steve over at Hardware Unboxed about when my original video about this subject came out. I said, and I gave credit, and I still give credit, because the work they do is incredibly important, and it's very difficult to get correct, and Hardware Unboxed does it especially well, normalizing your benchmarks, of making sure that when you're comparing hardware across stacks, you get the right answer of what is the fastest graphics card if CPU is no issue? What is the fastest CPU if GPU is no issue? Those are important questions to ask, and the way they test is absolutely correct. I still say that today. But what happens if you flip the question around? You don't say, what is the fastest thing that I can buy? You say, I play X game. I play Indiana Jones and the Golden Circle. I play Cyberpunk 2077. And I want to hit 90 FPS on average. Will this budget graphics card do that?
Yeah.
Not what can this graphics card do at ultra settings. Can this graphics card at X settings, at variable settings, hit my target performance? It's a different question. And that's the question that most consumers ask. It's not what is the fastest, it's can it play this game at an acceptable rate? That's the question we as reviewers should be answering, especially in the budget category.
Well, yeah, no, that's totally right. And like I said at the very beginning of this episode, I built my nephew a PC because he had an older one. And what he asked was like, hey, and all he told me was, I just want to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
He just got a game. He's like, I just want to play this game. And I looked it up, and the bare minimum requirements was a 1060 Ti. And I was like, hey, look, I just happen to have that. Here you go. I will make you happy. And he came back to me, I'm happy.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. It was that he got to play his game. He wasn't able to, and now he can't. Whoa, was that me?
You were choppy for like 2 minutes, and then all of a sudden you smoothed out. So you're good, and your audio's fine.
All right, so that's weird. Yeah, I was like battery. I checked my battery earlier; it was fine. But yeah, that's all that matters is that he's happy because he got to play the game he wasn't able to before. Mm-hmm. He's doing 1080p it's technically like 59 frames per second, but whatever.
Yeah,
it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And then now he's happy. And he's like, now I have time to save up and probably buy a low budget 30 series, just like I did, which is what
Right.
I recommended to him. And he can, but he has time to save it and he doesn't have to stress it and he'll enjoy it. And that's the whole point of what building computers too. The whole point I always love is it's the Lego-esque. It's you can kind of I want to try this and I want to try that. And let me put it together. I can theoretically Frankenstein this together.
Yep.
Let's see if it works and what can I get on a budget. Yeah, I know if I had a unlimited budget, I actually had to deal with this. I had a person at my work who is one of the top level guys, and he said, I need a new computer. And management told me, no option, whatever the budget. Give him whatever he wants. And it was like, I actually had a harder time finding that PC than a budget PC.
Yeah.
If I can work within a budget, but then when it's like, oh, you have no restrictions, like I'm in there, oh man, we could do this X, Y, and Z, and then it was, well, let's what's the next option up? Well, the next option up is $500 more. Well, what's the performance? Well, it's only like 20%. Does he need that?
Yeah.
But it's it's $1,000 more.
Yeah.
It's a no option, but does he need it? Now I'm like confused. It would have been nice if they just told me he's got $1,000 budget.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, like I said, I had a face-to-face conversation with Steve from Hardware Unboxed, in which I asked him, in your benchmarks, which I've given you credit for and you do properly, can you answer the question of, can this GPU play Hogwarts at 60 FPS? Can it play Cyberpunk at 60 FPS? Can I play this game at this frame rate? And he goes, no. And I went, that's the question I'm trying to answer. And that's the question that you're telling me I'm wrong for asking. I don't think I phrased it quite that way, but that was the gist of the conversation. And I love that now Hardware Unboxed and Gamers Nexus and Linus Tech Tips and everyone else are coming out. Like, the videos are starting to trickle out, or the opinions are starting to trickle out. It turns out, when you don't pair the B580 with the top-of-the-line fastest gaming CPU the world's ever known, your performance numbers are different. If only we could have seen this coming. And again, credit to those organizations. They all do fantastic work. I am not crapping on those organizations. I am crapping on the answer that they derived from their testing, which, because it was bottleneck normalized, was flawed from the start based on the question consumers would ask.
Do you think the reasoning for that is possibly the AI and the GPU shortage, and there was enough time for all of that most consumers were like, we're on a budget and we can't even find these graphics cards. We're tired of looking at these videos of here's the latest and greatest. We can't reach that. And we're tired of you showing it off because we know you can get it, but we can't.
I did a couple of videos during some of the worst graphics card shortages we've ever seen. Zotac sent me a 4070 Ti in the midst of 4070 Ti selling for $2,500 on eBay to feature in a build. I asked for the card. I wanted to demo the card. And Zotac was the one that stepped up and said yes. And I had to say, I got this card. That doesn't mean you can get this card. And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And that sucks. And I'm in a position of privilege here. But if you find this card, here's the results you can get. Like, I leaned into I'm tired of hearing about crap that I can't buy either. And that video did okay. But I did a couple other benchmark videos. I remember I got a 6750 XT. Sapphire sent me over some cards. They were launching like a 6800 XT. And here's the deal. When companies send you cards, they're permanent loaners. They're not technically mine. I can't sell them. I can use them for testing. I can use them around the office. Sometimes I'll permanently loan them out to friends. I have quite a few cards that are out and about with various friends, Steve and Rhett both included. You soon to be included in that. We get these cards as reviewers, and we do the video, and we fulfill our obligation for the video or the review or whatever it is. They're not ours. They're not our property. If the companies ever ask for them back, we are under obligation to give them back. So if I put it on eBay and then they go, oh, by the way, that card, we need to destroy all evidence of that card because there was a fatal flaw in it. We don't ever want that card existing again. And since yours is technically our property, we want it back, and I can't deliver that card, I'll never work with that company again.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing doesn't happen. I don't sell review things. Sometimes the occasional mini PC because they don't give a crap. but beyond that, I have every motherboard and every graphics card that's ever been given to me.
I was going to say all of those laptop monitor extensions.
Oh, God. Oh, if you want a portable monitor, John, would you like 4 of them? Because they just show up in my PO box every 3 weeks.
I'm sure those you can get away just
those I can give away like candy. But those reviews that I did during that time, I think I did a 6800 XT. I think I did a 6750 XT. I've done I remember I got one of Sapphire's Venom cards in. It's oh, this is really cool. I got that card for 10 days, and then immediately I had to send it back. So I had enough time to do my benchmarking and basic filming with it before I had to send it back, because Sapphire was in that dire of straits for supply. They couldn't even supply reviewers. And during that time, do you know what those benchmarks and videos did? Terribly. I might as well have never done that video, because I think that video still has 10,000 views, and I had 300,000 subscribers at that point. And if I make a video and it gets less than 40,000 views in 48 hours, I failed. Just flat out. I didn't do my job right. And I think those videos have 12,000 views today. Because no one cared, because no one could buy them.
Yeah, exactly.
And I kind of have a sneaking suspicion the 5090 is going to be the supercar review. It's going to be the Testarossa. It's going to be the 599. It's going to be the enthusiast of enthusiasts who want to watch a drag race will watch the 5090. The views are going to be for the 5070, 5070 Ti, and the 5080. And even the 5080, I have doubts at $1,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Because shit's really expensive right now.
It's going to be a cool video, and that's it. But more videos will be made of the 5070. More videos will be made of what can beat this. What's the budget of this? It's a great price point if it does come out, like you said.
Nvidia, I know. I know I'm under NDA. You guys all know I'm getting a card. I know they're sending me a 5090. As soon as I heard my 5090 was shipping, I said, I'm getting a 5070 too, right? I don't care about the rest. I need a 5070 in my stock because I need to test that card. Because that's the one that freaking matters. Zotac's sending me a 5080. They're sending me one of the MSRP 5080s. I specifically requested that. And during that meeting, I also said, you've also got me on the list for the 5070 MSRP, right, too? Because that's the one that freaking matters right now.
Yeah.
That's the one you're going to sell. And that's the one that's going to get me views, and it's going to be even worth me reviewing.
Yep. No. Yeah. I totally agree.
And look, Nvidia paid for my trip, and I'd love to be a homer and go the 5090 is the greatest thing I've ever seen. And I got to see 5090 benchmarks behind closed doors. I know how well it performs. I can't talk about it, but I freaking know. But I always base my content in reality and what I would spend my money on. And if I can't even afford a 5090, and I do this for a fucking living, it's really hard for me to get excited about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of you watch me. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I think that's the whole point of this channel. I mean, we've expressed that multiple times, and you've expressed it multiple times on this channel and throughout the videos too. You can easily see that it is more of the budget enthusiast.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I said, the whole point of building a computer was fun to like, what can I budget? We grew up building PCs from Goodwill parts.
Yeah.
How many times have we expressed that on this channel of old PCs, and we go and be like, what's the best budget build? We've talked about let's have a budget build competition. I mean, like, that's our favorite thing to do.
One thing I've never disclosed. A lot of people here know the origin of my channel. They know I rented a space from you so I could run a VR arcade, so I could bankroll starting the channel, so I could buy enough hardware and a little bit of video equipment to film a YouTube channel. And I started in 2017 on a Canon Handycam.
Yep, I remember you brought this, like, this is gonna be great. It's so awesome. It's a great budget camera.
Does 1080p. It's all I need, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First Talking Heads was shot up there too.
Oh, first Talking Heads was shot up there. Our first beer vlog was shot on that camera.
Yep.
That's right. I still have that camera. It's right over here on my shelf. Because I remember where I came from.
I was gonna say, never sell that thing.
No, that camera is so near and dear to my heart. I shot like 15 episodes on that camera. I don't have the second or the third camera, but I do have everything else that I've ever bought. But no, the origin of the channel is I rented a space above John's bar, and I ran VR arcade during the weekends and a couple of nights a week. In fact, we had like a racing league that we did. I brought my full sit-down simulator, and we did drunk hot laps above his bar. God, that was freaking awesome.
That was so much fun.
But the very first video that I did, and this was planned, I wanted to find a niche that I could get into the tech review space in. And what I found was an AliExpress motherboard that was a Chinese clone of an X99 or X79 that had no English reviews. And I went, if I do this, there's going to be someone that searches for it. And lo and behold, there was. Yeah. And so it was a very targeted, very deliberate move to target that specific motherboard or that specific style or use case and go like, hey, let me build like a gaming and video editing machine that I need, that I'm going to use, and did use that machine for like 2 years. I still have that motherboard too. Oh. But let me build this PC and I'll film it. I built the PC and I spent $250 on components and then $300 on a graphics card. By the way, the 1070 that I bought for that PC was still $300 because we were in the midst of a shortage in 2017. So I went out and bought a Founders Edition 1070 off a guy on Craigslist. I think I spent $310. Met him on the behind the Fred Meyer on 89th Street in Portland. And built that video and that PC and my channel around that build. I had $600 that I had saved up over the course of like a month to start the channel with. And you know what? I spent $600 on that PC. Do you know what I needed? I needed a desk, I needed a chair, and I needed a monitor. So I went to freaking Goodwill.
Yeah.
And I found one of the original Acer Predator 1080p 75 hertz monitors. That was a DVI input only. They had it for $15. And I went, sold.
Dang. Yeah.
I bought an IKEA desk for $5. With the screw-in legs and like the balsa wood top. And I bought that for $5. From the Goodwill bulk store, the like weigh your shit. I know which one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the we sell by weight, not by item. They had $5 on the desk and I went, sold. And I went, I need an office chair. They had an office chair there, also for $5. My wife still uses that office chair that I picked up for $5 at Goodwill. I spent, literally, starting my channel, $625. And $15 is on the monitor, $5 on the desk, $5 on the chair, and then $600 on the PC. And that's how I started.
Yep. Yeah.
And like $90 on the camera that I used to film it all.
And that's called a budget. And that's how everything came about.
And
you don't have
everything I've always done for myself personally has always been on a shoestring budget, because I don't like spending money if I don't have to. And the most recent video I published was saving my client 40% when I could have definitely charged more. But he goes, we need a CAD and a Makerspace PC, and we need 5 of them. And I went, oh, CAD. That's definitely going to be like a $1,200 build. I'm going to spec this out with like 4060s, and you know, we'll get, you know, 9700 AMD CPUs, 8 cores in there and whatnot. And I said, well, wait, what CAD program are you using? He goes, oh, we're doing Onshape, and we have some Bamboo Labs printers. And I went, so you're using a browser-based CAD program. You need slightly better than integrated graphics. Tell you what. Yeah. Let's do mini PCs, and let's literally save you $450 that I could have charged. And been well justified because he said CAD.
Yep.
But it's way more important to me that everyone else save money too. Which is why I don't think I'll ever get out here and say you have to buy a $2,000 graphics card. You have to spend $1,300 on this. No, you don't. You know what I'm really excited about? I'm really excited about the 5070. Do you know what I'm even more excited about? The freaking used market for a 4070 Super.
Yeah.
Those are... My original quote that I put out when I saw the 5070 was $550 was NVIDIA just broke the used graphics card market. Because the 4070 and 4070 Super, from the bros who have to upgrade to the latest, they're going to sell theirs for like $300.
Yep.
Do you want to know what a freaking good deal that is at $300? I will lick cigarette smoke out of the fan grill for a $300 4070 Super.
All right, next one I have at my work. I'll make sure to bring it over, Jeff.
And you know what? And you know what? That means a 3060 12 gig or a 3060 Ti is going to be sub 170, just like you just bought.
Oh, I know.
And you know what a freaking good deal that is? That'll play every game on the market today at 90 FPS at 1080p. Every freaking one.
Exactly.
Ultra settings.
Yeah.
That's who I care about. I love getting to work with the newest hardware, and I will give you my honest opinion of the newest hardware. But I will never forget where I came from. Yeah. Rev says, I gagged. Skull says, quoting that comment about the fan grill for later. Yeah. Oh, if ever there was a time to clip a video, that is the quote.
So I'm going to open up another one. Another can art had to buy, but it actually, the description of it did remind me of a local brewery, Great Notions. Their, what is it? Blueberry pancakes.
Oh yeah.
But this is Main and or blueberry stacks.
Yeah.
This is Main and Mills. Hello Newman. So it's a Seinfeld cartoon.
I like that.
But it is
Hello, Newman.
It's made with blueberry muffin tops and vanilla and cinnamon.
Nice.
So 8% porter.
So I opened my Cape May Coastal Evacuation double IPA. This is an East Coast, West Coast style. It's brewed in New Jersey, but it's not a hazy, although it is pretty hazy. It doesn't taste like a hazy. Maybe a little bit. Maybe slightly.
Ooh, that is actually really good. It's not as sweet as the short stack or the blueberry pancake,
Yeah.
but I like you taste blueberry. It's a slight blueberry. It's like blueberry if you took a bite of a blueberry muffin and then the porter gives it this slight coffee, chocolatey, roasty flavor. So it's like you bit into a muffin, you sipped your coffee. That's what it kind of tastes like.
Sorry,
I really enjoy that.
Sorry, Cosworth. I finally read your super chat. American Cosworth sends over $10. Thank you very much. That comes out of his Ridgeline Repair Fund. Jeff does a Chinese X79 motherboard review. Something butterfly effect. Jeff now has an entire row at PDX LAN and worldwide followers of gifted and talented functional alcoholics.
Yep.
My people.
Well, when you start a YouTube channel above a tap room, that's kind of what happens.
That's kind of what happens, right? So this doesn't taste like a hazy, but it also doesn't taste like a West Coast. It's somewhere markedly and definingly in between, and I really, really like it.
Yeah, okay.
I got a 6-pack of this. I'm gonna send you one of these. I think you need to review this one.
Okay. I have never found an East Coast brewery say, we made a West Coast style beer or IPA. I'm like, no, you didn't. You took West Coast hops and whatever you did, this does not taste like a West Coast beer. Like, it was that famous story of, or Steve constantly talks about Claw giving, not Claw, yeah, it was Claw. Shooting him like a beer from the West Coast.
Yeah.
And saying that, oh, you're gonna love this beer. My buddy loves making this beer, and it's the best IPA he's ever had. And it's Willamette Valley hops, or was it?
No,
you
that was me. That was my story.
Yeah.
That wasn't Claw. Story. That was a dude in Ireland.
Oh yeah, or whatever. But
it wasn't Funk. Funk's our resident Irishman. No, there was a dude who reached out to me. This is 5 or 6 years ago, and I love your channel. I love that you do beer reviews. I'm in Ireland, and I have a couple local brews that I want to send you. How do I send them? And I said, you can technically send them. It's kind of illegal in the US for beer to transit, but people do it. And as long as you mark it accurately in customs doesn't care. And they'll just hand it to UPS, and UPS goes, I don't really care about dealing with this. And they'll deliver it to me. And so if you're willing to accept the risk that it won't be delivered, then you're welcome to send anything. Here's my address. And I said, but what are you sending me? And he goes, we have a couple local IPAs that use these really exotic hops. And I am just I love these hops, and I love your beer reviews, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And I went, send them over. So he sends me these beers. And he sent me like a 6-pack variety pack. And he goes, in particular, there's these 2 IPAs that are in here. And those are what you have to try. These are like the most baller, dynamic, explosive, hop-forward IPAs I've ever had in my life. And I opened the beer, and I read the description. And it was Simcoe and Amarillo hops brewed by Crosby Farms.
Yeah.
6 miles from my house.
Yeah. It's like, what? This is nothing.
You sent me a beer from Ireland with hops from my backyard.
I know. But that's my whole point of the East Coast trying to do West Coast. Yeah. It's you're just flying hops all the way over there, and then they have to come
drive them back.
Back. Yeah, it's like, no matter what. Now nothing is fresh. I know nothing was fresh.
Steve is in chat, and he goes, Claw did the same thing to him. It was a beer called Cascadia, made from hops from the Cascades, but made in Norway. It was crap.
That's so I think I got both the 2
Yeah,
stories.
yeah. No, I had that exact same thing happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, this one, it's got some hallmarks of like a juicy hazy IPA, which I really like. Like that.
Okay.
That is the East Coast IPA that I gravitate towards. Is the orange juice citrus forward, like the grapefruit. Nice. And this has all of that going for it. And then it's got like the lupulin bite of like a Sticky Hands IPA on the back.
Ooh.
Like it's kind of intense, but in both ways that I haven't had at the same time before. Like I've had like some juice bombs that then burn your throat with sandpaper on the way down.
I was gonna ask. There's like that acidy burn.
There's no acidy burn. Okay. And then I've had those West Coast IPAs that you have to have with pizza because the grease is the only thing that will cut through the lupulins that stick to your tongue. Yeah. And this is both. This is the juice bomb forward, Sticky Hands back.
All right, well, that does sound very nice. That's like the best of both worlds.
Not quite as lingering, not quite as bitey on the hop back, but it reminds me of it.
Oh, okay, I get
it. And that's something that I can't say for like any hazy IPA that I've ever had.
It's almost like a West Coast guy was trying to make an East Coast hazy.
Yes. And, it's much more akin to a West Coast hazy than an East Coast West Coast. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All these stupid beer terms that we're talking about.
An East Coast West Coast emulation. Yes.
So well, let's see. Well, speaking of something that's pretty cool, you got this Minisforum MS-A2.
I literally just pulled up that tab and I was thinking of a transition, so thank you.
That is a sweet little thing.
Oh God, you have no idea.
Yeah. Reminds me of kind of what you built.
Yes. So I have both the MS-A1 and the MS-01. Literally right here beneath me. They're on the floor under the desk behind me here. I actually got a shout out in an LTT video today for the MS-01. They referenced one of my videos, which was fantastic. That was cramming way too much video card into the MS-01. That was when I crammed the 4000 ADA SFF with a single slot half height cooler into the MS-01. Apparently Jake is a fan. So Jake, Colton, number one, it was great to catch up with you guys at CES. It was great to see you guys again. And I hope we can do something this year. I'd love to drive up and do something up at LTT headquarters. That'd be a lot of fun. Maybe we'll talk. Maybe we'll come up with something that'll be fun for both of us. Anyway, they built a portable NAS out of an MS-01 for their editors to work off of. And what they did was they took an MS-01, which is an Intel 13900H. It's a 14-core, 20-thread mobile CPU with 115-watt turbo. Like 5.4 gigahertz single-threaded turbo. With dual 10-gig networking built in. And dual 2.5 gig networking built in.
Stupid.
And 3 M.2s. Oh, and it also has a PCI Express X8 that you can put a half-height, half-length desktop card into, in which they put a P1000 NVIDIA Quadro into, so they could do encoding and rendering on the little NAS box that they had. They also put in 2 8-terabyte Sabrent Rocket Gen 4x4s, which are something like 8,500 megabyte per second each. As well as a 512 meg boot drive, and ran TrueNAS on it. So like the ultimate mobile portable NAS that also has balls and rendering capability. Like, holy crap! What a cool machine! That. Well, when you travel 4 editors with you,
that's true.
You dump all your footage onto a NAS, and then all your editors have to pull from that NAS simultaneously. Yes, you do kind of need that. And holy crap, what a cool use case for the MS-01. Last year, Minisforum also came out with the MS-A1, which is an AMD-based system. However, it was a little bit different. It wasn't a mobile platform. It was actually an AM5-based socketed platform with a Ryzen 8700G. It's only 8 cores and 8 threads and only 65 watts. But they also removed the 10 gig networking and they also removed the PCI Express card. And as much as I wanted to love that system, I'm like, you took out everything that made it cool. It was really cool before because it was so expandable, and now it's not expandable. Now it's a dual 2.5 with an 8700G. It's a mini PC with a desktop APU. And while that's still really cool and it's still really freaking fast, it's not
can't do anything.
It's not super cool. Minisforum at CES, and I did get a great conversation with Minisforum as well. As did LTT. LTT did a whole video. Jake was super hyped on this. And in fact, Jake DM'd me on Tuesday and said, have you visited the Minisforum booth yet? Because you need to go to the Minisforum booth. And I went, I heard about it, and I went there on Friday. So thank you. And he goes, she chooches. That's the DM that I got. Minisforum introduced the MS-A2, which is an AMD-based, if you couldn't tell by the name, their second generation of their AMD mobile workstation. And to quote Jake in his DM to me, she chooches. This, inside of its humble shell, the same size as the MS-01 and MS-A1, is rocking a Ryzen 9 7945HX, which is a mobile workstation CPU, Zen 4 based, with 16 cores and 32 threads.
Yeah, baby.
It will hold 96 gigabytes of DDR5 5600. It is ECC capable. It also has 3 M.2 slots, 2 Gen 4x4s, and 1 Gen 3x4. It also supports the included U.2 to M.2 adapter, so you can put a full Kioxia 60 terabyte U.2 drive into this. Do you know who else I talked to over CES? I had a meeting with Faison. Faison showed me behind closed doors and let me hold a 122 terabyte U.2 drive. 122 terabyte U.2 SSD.
I heard that part. I was like, wait, did he say gig or terabyte?
Terabyte. 122.22. It's important you include all the decimals in this one. Because the 0.22 is a 220 gig SSD.
Man.
The 0.22 is your boot disk. 122 terabyte. U.2 Gen 5 SSD. In a 9mm package, 9mm thick. So it'll fit in the MS-A2. Yeah. As old Poi says, that's a lot of data to lose in one failure.
That's funny.
Me and Faison might be thinking of some really fun things to do in the very near future, so stay tuned and make sure you're subscribed. Let's just say, me and Faison have been talking. Yeah. They showed me that, but then I immediately, when I went to the Minisforum booth, went, could I put 120 terabytes in an MS-A2? Along with a pair of 16 terabyte drives just for safekeeping. Along with 16 cores and 32 threads and dual 10 gig networking. Oh, and a PCI Express slot.
Yeah.
Just in case you need more.
Well, yeah, you do. Yeah, geez, the networking. It's a stick freaking computer. And this is how it comes. That's the thing. It's That's your workstation.
Yeah.
Ooh. With this much, you don't need freaking tower to be able to upgrade anything.
I don't know if anyone watched. I did actually the PC that's right over here. My 45 drives HL8. I did a video in which I upgraded the crap out of that thing. And I literally mean that. I took out the stuff that came with it, which was good. Just not great. And I put in a Minisforum BD790i motherboard, which includes this same exact CPU, the 7945HX, on a mini ITX motherboard. 16 core, 32 thread. And the whole point of that video was, could you do an all-in-one desktop NAS and virtualization server that's faster than any rack-mountable server that you can buy today? And the answer is kind of yes. Like, save for like 24 and 32 and 64 core rigs from AMD and Intel. Like, if you're looking at like an 8-core 1U rack-mountable like Raptor Lake thing, this blows that out of the water. And I think my favorite quote from that video is, I went ahead and ran it through Cinebench R15 just to see what its burst CPU performance was like. And it's 6th. Out of every CPU multi-threaded I've ever tested, it's really? 6th.
6th.
By the way, I've tested dual 128 core Intel Xeon 6 CPUs. I've tested AMD Genoa 64 core. I've tested Turin. I've tested 32 core Rome, 64 core Rome, 64 core Threadripper. Those are slots 1 through 5. This is 6th. This beat out my 5950X 16 core desktop chip. This mobile 85 watt chip. This chip is 6th on that list.
And it comes in this form factor too.
And that's in an ITX form factor. Now it comes in a tiny little box that you can shove 120 terabytes of SSD into. With dual 10 gig networking to boot. Yeah. It's nuts. NVTS nuts. Cosworth sends over $2. Thank you very much, Cosworth. Did you get an Ace Magic tour? They love the net guy. I ran into Ace Magic in the most organic and adorable way possible. I was literally walking between the central and south halls at LVCC on Friday morning. And these two women walked up to me.
What a way a story starts.
Speaking Mandarin to start among themselves. And they had seen that my badge was green. Because at CES, you get badges, and being a YouTuber, I get a digital content creator badge, which is a media badge, and I have a green band on the bottom. And I think they recognized me as like someone they should know. But I got stopped, and they said, excuse me, are you press? I went, yes. And they said, what do you do? And I said, I do PC hardware reviews. And there was definitely a bit of a language gap. Like they were trying to come up with like the right words to ask, and so there were gaps in between words and things like that. But what you cover, what video, right? What you do, like it was that kind of broken English. And and I just said PC hardware reviews, and they said, "Oh, we want to talk to you," and they said we do mini PC and all kinds models, AMD, Intel, we some with NVIDIA, we have Qualcomm, we have all these different. And I said, okay. And I said, this is actually exactly what I do. I do mini PCs, I do networking, I do enthusiast, I do gaming, I do all kinds of stuff. And they said, oh, and then they handed me a flyer, and I went, oh, Ace Magic. Okay, I know you guys. And then I got a picture with them, and then they handed me a gift bag with a box inside of it that had a hand embroidered light box of like a picture of like two pandas with like some bamboo and grass growing behind them. Okay. And it you get like gifts sometimes at events like these, and the joke is the current one is an octagonal coffee mug. It was a metal coffee mug that literally every vendor was giving out. It had the same exact like first wash instructions, but in Chinese inside of the box, as well as like a thing of desiccant. And it was the same color beige, and then it had whatever brand booth you were stopping at. And they went, "Oh, you need a coffee cup?" I went,
"Yeah,
I've got 6, but okay." But no. So sometimes you get like gift boxes if you're pressed for stopping by. And Ace Magic gave me a gift box, and inside was some tea and a flyer on all the hardware that they cover, as well as a bamboo light box of a hand-embroidered panda portrait, which is actually really freaking cute, and I gave it to my daughter, and she freaking loves it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I did meet with Ace Magic, but they caught me literally in like the temporary outdoor corridor between the central and south halls on my way to go see Minisforum.
I thought the story was going to end with like, and somehow there was a picture of a self-embroidered John the Net Guy in the panda suit.
Right, yeah, like, yeah. Oh. I got a light box of John the Net Guy. It lights up now and haunts me in my dreams.
It's like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh yeah, he go for Amazon review.
Yeah, but whether they recognized me or just saw me for my badge and then like happened to meet. Now I will say Ace Magic's reputation precedes them because they've had multiple instances of sending malware on some of their products. And while look, sometimes you get a product and you just go, just wipe this one and install your own OS. I don't know that I'll ever recommend Ace Magic, especially with the software history that they've had. But they did have some cool hardware. And so, like, you take bad business decisions with good engineering, like, yeah, okay. Are you any worse than MSI at this point? Like, how many different programs does MSI have for their driver updater and their RGB and their Mystic Light and their sound enhancer and their video overclocker and their, like, you install an MSI motherboard and you install everything that comes with the factory, you might as well have a keylogger on there. So it's like, yeah, can you really be that harsh on the software side of things? I mean, I'd like to think so, but yeah. Let's see. Green says, at Veronica, thanks for the glorious merch. My mom is loving her trackball person shirt in gray. I have the trackball person shirt in maroon, and it's one of my favorite shirts of all times. VKC.sh if you want some of Veronica's merch. She makes literally some of the best shirts in the industry. Like, not gonna lie, not gonna sugarcoat it. She makes the best shirts. Design-wise, and like, I will totally rock that shirt. I have her 568B termination guide shirt. I've got the trackball person shirt. The trackball person shirt's my favorite shirt because that's my trackball. I have 3 of these. I love my Elecom Huge, and I love that shirt. So vkc.sh. Go get some merch from Veronica. Go get some merch from craftcomputing.store as well. I got merch too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do all my own stuff too. I do all my own designs. I've got pint glasses, which you can't see very well right now because it's coated in IPA. I make hops and brews pint glasses, and they're great.
I got coasters too.
I got coasters too.
See how we did that?
Actually, I do have an unlisted product. Should I go out and grab this really quick? Should I plug an unlisted product? Tell you what, give me 30 seconds. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to show you the greatest thing I've ever made, okay?
Okay. All right.
I'll be right back.
I am going to check out Veronica stuff because I have not seen this. And so, Veronica, you're going to get an honest review from me. There we go. Let's check it out. I'm on her site. And everyone in chat, explain to me what this is. So far, so good. Looks fun. Trending discovery recently. Thing is, though, how good could it be? She doesn't follow me, so I was like, there's no hops and brews shirt. Really should be. I like the classic stuff though. Channel merch. Here we go. There we go. Back up. All right. I get it. I like that. Contribution. Grub Rescue. Linux is awesome. Is it though? Is it? Yeah, some of these are pretty funny. I like these. There's the trackball one. Test your backups. Nah. What's the cheat sheet? Fashion sheet. Okay, that's pretty funny. I like it. It's funny. It's cool. What's this one? Test your backup. Yeah, is that the test the backups? Nah, you don't need to test your backups. It's fine.
So, I make and design all my own merch. I've got really cool coasters. I've got the Hops and Brews coasters with the bunny on them. I made floppy disk coasters because they're almost the exact same shape and size, and they're amazing. I was challenged by Vince in the community to make a Doom install coaster.
I know that one.
I made some limited edition Doom install disc sets, and I gave them out at PDX LAN. So a couple of people got the actual Doom installer, but I didn't want to violate copyright. And so I made beer install discs, and you can buy these. So these are pretty awesome. You can buy these in sets of 2 or 4. And it's the beer registered edition. To install beer, type install and press enter. And it's the Doom logo, but it's in beer, right?
Is it disc one of 4?
The Doom set is discs 1 through 4. The beer set is not, because I didn't want to have to individually number if you were buying 2 or 4 discs. And the Doom installer was 4 discs, and I wanted to say somewhat true. So
I was gonna say, I was like, yeah.
But no. Yeah, Circuit Rewind says, you rang? Yeah, Circuit Rewind, Vince. Vince has, I think, one of only 2 sets of Doom install discs that I made. And then I have the beer discs that you can buy today. However, we have an even further rabbit hole of a meme. And that is Yakto over on the Discord. He started the meme of using graphics cards as coasters. Okay? And it started because one of my mods bought a graphics card from him. And he goes, well, do you need that graphics card? What are you using it for? And he goes, no, it's basically a coaster. And so he sent him a picture of a cereal bowl on top of a I believe it was a 4080 or a 4080 Super. And he goes, I'm just using it as a coaster at this point. And so he sold him the graphics card. Well, I loved that idea so much that I made the RTX Serial Super. I designed this based on reference images of an NVIDIA reference card and reverse engineered their fan pattern, their grill pattern. Do you realize how hard that was to redraw and have like the pattern continue all the way through the fan blades? Like, it's not as simple as you think it is. But yeah,
that is so stupid.
I don't sell these, and only 2 people have these. That is Yocto and that is Skull. They have each an RTX Serial Super because they are the originators of this meme. However, I have 8 of these left because I bought them in packs of 10. And I believe it's a 10-inch by 4-inch slate coaster. And I would be willing to make a couple custom runs. So if you're looking for a serial coaster...
there is a great contest-winning item right there for the Discord members right there.
Yeah.
So if you wanted one of those, maybe we can come up with a Discord competition. And so if you're thinking that, maybe you should join the Discord.
There you go.
Minimum of $1 a month. That's it. More is always appreciated, but it is what really does keep the lights, the cameras, action, everything going for co-host, to Jeff, to the beer, everything on the show, plus a fantastic community over there where it's not just tech or electronics or computers. There is literally, like we were talking about, memes, television, movies, music, art, a bunch of dedicated just craft computing, food, all great channels, great community, buy and sell area too for the whole community, not just the mods.
Yes.
So it's a great resource. One of the most active channels that you will probably be on Discord. And I am on a few of them, and that one is probably the most active and fun too. If you also, bonus, you do get to talk to all of us. We always respond, especially if you do tag us.
Yep. And Cosworth corrected me. I forgot I gave one to Cosworth as well. That's right. So yeah, Cosworth has one too. So there's only 3 of these in existence, plus this was my test one where it actually flaked up a little bit, and so some of it's not perfect around the fan blade. So I keep this one around just for me. But yeah, I bought these slates in a 10-pack, so I still have some slates available if someone wants to buy some. I don't know what I'd charge for them, and shipping a 10 by 4-inch, 1/4-inch thick slate, it's a little tricky to make sure it arrives in one piece. So it won't be necessarily cheap, but if you're interested, I can make it happen. Novella Hub says, when will shirts be coming to your store? When I can make it profitable. And by profitable, I mean I want all the profit, not just $2 of the profit. And I'm sure Veronica knows exactly what I mean when I say that. I have looked into doing Teespring and Shopify and all the other creator merch warehouses that exist. And the problem is you list a shirt for $25 and I make $2.50. Someone is making money in that transaction, and it's not the creator. If you catch my drift.
And you can't really control the quality too.
And
there's really no, the quality of doing something like that is no different than going to, say, Cafe Press and spending $7 and ripping the image or logo or whatever you want and just like, I'm going to put it on there myself, and I can get the color I want. Quality wise, you're going to get the same quality. So, there's a difference when you do it yourself or you find a means that a person or shop that you do trust to have the quality, whether you split the profits then 50-50, a decent quantity, a fair balanced way. to where you're going to get a quality shirt. And people will pay more for that soft cotton, 10% whatever, elastic, to where it feels nice. It lasts longer. Not that 100% coffin. It's stiff. It's super heavy. It's just so bulky. It just makes your shoulders hit. The collar always points out. No matter what. It's full of starch and comes in 3 colors: black, white, blue, and red.
Yeah. I like controlling my product stack top to bottom. I like being vertically integrated with the things that I offer. And so my pint glasses, I buy my pint glasses in bulk, and then I etch them myself, and I ship them myself. And I'm the designer on the pint glasses, and I own the laser, and I own the facility and everything else. And so these I can produce and I can make a profit off of. And I've got the 2 models. I've got the Matrix style Code Rain glasses, which is full of Easter eggs, which is a lot of fun. And then I've got the circuit design glasses. And both of them have nucleated bottoms, which is something very difficult to offer, but I can offer it because I own the laser and I own the facility. I own the expertise of being able to do these. Getting into garments, I haven't found a company that I wanted to work with yet that I could afford in the quantities that I needed to make it profitable. But if I invested in the hardware, if I invested in a DTF printer, direct to fabric printer, or some kind of dye sub or screen printer or whatever else, like if I invested in the hardware and I invested the $3,000 to $5,000 into doing t-shirts, maybe I'll do t-shirts. But I got to sell $5,000 in t-shirts to pay off the machine first. So like there's a thing in my brain that doesn't like that. And there's a thing in my brain that doesn't like making less than 10% on a $25 or $30 shirt sale. And I haven't found a company yet that follows the same logistical lines that I like to follow. So, but no, Veronica, we should talk. Someone asked, how's the NFT ring coming? I have rings that have not NFC tags in them.
I was gonna say, like, Jeff has an NFT.
NFC, near field communication, RFID tags. So, if you wanted to buy a ring and then had an NFC tag in it that could unlock your phone, or open your garage door, or unlock your deadbolt, or any number of different things, or have your business card, and so you could tap someone's phone with your ring and then automatically transfer your business card over. I'm looking at designing inscriptions for these and then selling them in various sizes. And the NFC tag works, and I'm really happy to report that. In fact, if I pull up my phone here, and I go to my NFC tools and I read. I forget where the reader is on my phone. Hold on. It's here somewhere. There it is. NFC tag read. Boom.
Somewhere.
Hold on. There's a specific spot on my phone that does it. Yeah. No, this is the Essential Phone 1.
Oh, okay.
Essential Phone? Nothing Phone. Sorry, not Essential. Essential went out of business. This is the Nothing Phone.
Ah.
I'm a big fan of the stripped down Android, nothing but the basics. Not a flagship, but also really good hardware versions of phones. But yeah, NFC tag. Fully working. Finding the right spot on my phone is weird. Yeah. But no, the NFC tag does work.
Not the tag, I swear.
Yeah, it's the phone, not the tag. Yeah, rip Essential. Thank you. But yeah, no, I've been looking at I was looking at doing an elven inscription, but instead of one ring in the darkness bind them, or whatever the Lord of the Rings is, it's not DNS. There's no way it's DNS. It was DNS. I'm also looking at translating that into Klingon and having a Klingon inscription instead. But having it be nerdy. But having it be something that's fairly attractive.
No. You have to have Shakespeare in Klingon.
Right.
That's nerdy right there. You've never heard the original Klingon, Shakespeare in the original Klingon.
Until you've heard it in the original Klingon, right? Thank you, Christopher Lloyd.
No, that wasn't Christopher Lloyd. That was oh gosh. Which one? Because it was
it was Undiscovered Country, wasn't it?
No. It was the one where the assassination attempt with the Klingon had purple blood.
All I remember is Mariner quoting The Tempest in Lower Decks. Hell is empty and all the devils are here. Yeah. Which I freaking loved. So someone mentioned Lower Decks in canon earlier, and where we sit with that. Lower Decks is 100% canon. And I love it. And no, Lower Decks didn't invalidate Discovery as canon by implying that the purple Klingons were alternate universe. It simply threw the Klingons into a state in which an alternate universe had the purple Klingons. There's a difference.
You were right. Undiscovered Country.
I thought so. Thank you.
Yeah, you were right. You're right. No. They said that Discovery now is no longer canon. The creator said Discovery was no longer canon.
I disagree with that. I'm
just saying that's what they said. I don't like it. Never liked this. Third season of Discovery wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad. I kind of liked it. First two were
Veronica, we're not going to spoil anything further. Discovery was not a bad sci-fi show. It wasn't a good Star Trek.
Yes.
And the problem is they tried so hard. Sorry, Christopher Plummer, not Christopher Lloyd. Christopher Lloyd was Search for Spock.
Search for Spock, yeah.
And Voyage Home. In which they stole a Klingon time machine from Christopher Lloyd, which is great. Basically, yes.
88, warp 88.
Right.
Light years per hour.
But yeah, no, I don't hate Discovery on its own as a space drama. It didn't make a very good Star Trek, and it forgot a lot of what made Star Trek good. And what made Star Trek good was it was individual episodic character and interrelational explorations.
It had the Borg using SQL.
Yeah, if sequel still exists in the 2320s, I'm out.
I mean, come on, that was it's like, this is, and it's supposed to be in the distant future too.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, come on, no. Okay, whatever. Or it wasn't the Borg, but it was like some weird Borg-esque type. Or it was so bad. That part.
It was bad.
There was again. I agree, and this is
it was CSI level writing in a Star Trek, and
exactly. And it was like it almost every season had a new group of writers, and it was how can we make this cool? Oh, let's. It was like as if pre-Chat GPT wrote it, and be like, write us a Star Trek script. All right, this sounds cool, and do this and
technobabble is supposed to be a thing, so we'll go full technobabble for this. And obviously, if you need technobabble, you need SQL vulnerabilities in your Java database.
Exactly. And the Klingon thing was essentially Discovery was supposed to reboot all of Star Trek for the TV
How
series.
do we
So
beat the
they were
Borg? Oh, we'll just take advantage of a malformed jQuery.
We'll string inject it. It's fine. We'll
If the
jailbreak
Borg
it.
haven't learned to sanitize their inputs, there's no hope for the future.
But and it was actually, I forget the makeup artist, but I believe he was either the son of or the understudy of the person who originally designed the Klingons for TNG.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to do his own spin on it. And if anyone's in the chat wants to look this up, I could be wrong. But it was supposed to just be like, look, we're redoing Star Trek to be all modern because all of this is going to be such a big hit, and then all TV shows after this will continue with this. And there was such a fan backlash for the classic Klingon look and everything that in itself probably tanked the show.
Coffee and Cynicism says we call him Little Bobby Borg. Little Bobby Tables.
I almost wonder if they kept the classic Klingon, Discovery probably would have been fine the first 2 seasons.
I don't think makeup design was the problem. I don't think makeup design was the problem.
I don't think so, but it could have been the exact same as Enterprise. It went 5 seasons instead of what was it? Did 4 this year instead of the classic 7.
Yeah.
And it could have been, there were 2 bad rough start seasons. The last 3 were pretty darn good, and they kept to the classic. But it just seemed they kept trying to change things to be their own. And in doing that, kept breaking classic Star Trek lore. And to props, give it to them. Like I said, the 3rd season is the best one, to where they travel into the future. And so therefore, a lot of things are different. To where the first 2 we're in between TNG or we're 10 years before Kirk. And so it's weird, but then they're introducing technology and Klingons that are more powerful than anything we ever saw in the original series. And it's like, this doesn't feel right. And then there's these spores that you can teleport, but it's top secret. Nobody knows about us. But yet all of Starfleet headquarters knows about us, but there's no Section Black or Section, what was it called? What's the new TV series? One of
Section 31, the new movie that's coming out.
Yeah, and then so it was, I don't know.
Yeah,
just I don't know. Didn't like it, didn't feel. There were good episodes. What's the one with Pike? That one's good.
There were a couple episodes where some other characters showed up. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to be spoilery. Veronica says no spoilers.
What's the series with Pike?
Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds is
where they got
great.
That's where they got it right. They went more episodic. They kept a lot of classic,
which is actually a spin-off of Discovery, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was like, oh, this is where they learn from their mistakes and like, oh, let's spin it off. And then season 2 was probably better than season 1.
It was so good.
It was so good. And some of the best episodes too, where they made it all of practical effect ones, and they even made, what was it, the three hallways or 3 scenes, and that they had a hallway gag of they kept shooting the same hallway from different angles.
Yeah.
There's all these little subtlety things that are like, this works because it's funny.
They took Star Trek and I love, like we've said, that Lower Decks never took itself too seriously, and that's why we loved it. But at the same time, Lower Decks took itself incredibly seriously. when it comes to canon and telling stories and making sure that no one feels excluded and everything is actually canon and everything that you saw on the shows actually happened, and we're going to pay homage to it and we're going to make a reference to it and you're going to freaking enjoy it. And I love that. And then Strange New Worlds took the formula with Discovery, which was like, we're going to try to tell an origin story. And then they went, you know what, we might as well have Pike and Spock make an appearance. And then they went, well, what if we took Pike and Spock and we actually gave them the Enterprise and we gave them a whole new crew that you haven't heard of except for a gifted recruit or a gifted cadet named Uhura.
Yeah.
And Nurse Chapel. And those are the only 4 characters that have ever had any screen time or any reference whatsoever. We ignore Kirk entirely. Screw that guy. He's a freaking lieutenant. Who the hell cares? He's not even on the ship. And we don't take ourselves too seriously. We make it campy. We make it a little goofy. But we take ourselves incredibly seriously, and we tell phenomenally good stories.
Yeah, no, there's plenty of within the series, I think, because this one's obviously a little bit shorter. It's 10 episodes or 12 episodes for the season versus the 24 to 27 of the standard old ones.
Yeah.
But within there's like four campy ones. And that spreads out to where like, oh, this feels like the original series. And then there are two or three that are episodic, because the story needs that big of a depth. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of our single episodic individual stories starts from the beginning, starts with a virus took over the ship. Mm-hmm. We have to cure everyone. Oh no.
Dr. Mbenga keeping his daughter in a transporter buffer because she's dying of an incurable disease.
And again,
what a freaking great concept for an episode.
Well, and then also that is a throwback too to TNG, because of the whole Scotty thing, and a lot of people are uproar like, oh, Scotty was the one who originally came. It doesn't matter. That's not what it was about. It was about an homage to that episode of the concept. Like, look, we pay attention, so therefore we used that method, and we remembered it. And it's like, okay, there are enough of that type of things. They still tried to take the original design of the costumes. They still have the analog glowing red, green, yellow buttons, which is great, versus Discovery is, here's this pop-out screen, and I can do, readjust.
Suddenly we had better than Elcar's technology in 2204. Like,
exactly.
No, you didn't. Like, no. And I love that Strange New Worlds pays so much great homage to, like, we still had, like, joysticks and physical buttons and shit.
Yeah, like, exactly.
Yeah, it's so great.
It was so... The idea where they even reintroduced and showed you the shuttlecraft. Yeah. And it's this boxy thing. And it doesn't look good, you know. It's not stealthy. It's not cool.
Because that's the source material they have to work with. It is stylized and it is modernized, but it's still true to the source material. And I freaking love that.
Exactly. And that's what's great about it. And I was like, okay, this is fun. And then they had good characters to where Captain Pike is like, he has this... I know Kirk had a swagger, but he has his own swagger to himself. And kind of doesn't take himself too serious. Or like, let's have a relax. He believes in the crew relaxing and having a good time. And so we're not a military ship type of a deal. You know, he has... Yes, we have dinner with each other. We communicate back and forth. We all have, things that to talk about in personal issues. And sometimes there's an episode that has nothing to do with exploration. It's character development, and that's great.
I almost feel like Captain Pike cooking dinner for the crew feels like a bit of a Futurama reference, with Zoidberg going, "Oh, the captain's table. Oh, what an honor."
Yeah, but I'm curious to see what the next Star Treks are. But no, I liked Discovery, and actually, I am ashamed. Ashamed, admonish me all you want. I have not watched this latest season of Lower Decks. I am behind.
Yeah.
Everyone in chat can admonish me now. It's fine.
Yep. I finished Lower Decks. Chef's kiss.
Yep.
That's all I gotta say.
I'll finish it. I'll probably binge watch it. Probably in about a month or so.
You're gonna want to watch through episode 8, and then you're gonna want to take a breather, and then 9 and 10 are a freaking roller coaster.
Okay,
and that's how. And 9 and 10 are the last two. But 9 and 10 deserve their own breathing room. If you catch my drift on that. You want to set a day aside and crack open a barley wine and get ready for 9 and 10.
Okay, and then I'm assuming that means enjoy all of the references, pause, do some research, probably end up rewinding it, rewatching the episode again.
There's a Harry Kim.
Oh my gosh.
There's a T-Pole. There's a Lily from Star Trek First Contact.
Oh,
there's
my gosh.
There's references to all kinds of different actors that we've like tangentially met over the years. There's a whole new way of thinking about Star Trek. It introduces I don't want to spoil it, but it introduces think of Kelvin and how Kelvin introduced a whole new way to think about Star Trek and how good Kelvin would have been had they not gone like, we're carving our own path. Fuck it, Wrath of Khan.
Okay.
Had they just gone, here's our own path, and it is our own path, and we can define it in canon, and it is strictly our own path, and we are fully canonical in explaining it, and it's so freaking good. And it exists, and I love it, and I don't care if you hate it. And this is the path we're carving. Imagine if Kelvin had stuck to that for more than an hour.
Okay.
And that's what episode 9 and 10 does in Lower Decks in season 5. And then it ends, but it leaves you going,
I want more. Okay.
Because God, it's so good.
All right. Although, I mean, the fact that it's ended on season 5, it's always going to end on 7. If it's good, you know it's 7.
Yeah.
And that's like, that disappointed me.
It sets up not only one, but like 2 different spin-offs perfectly.
Well, then that's fine then.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's also the best part of the animated series of Lower Decks was it's a lot easier to represent so many layers of different treks with animation because you can just throw something in really quick to where a live action, it would be so hard to do that live action comedy with the different makeup levels and different shots and everything else. And like, well, this doesn't look stylistically like it should be. Where it's animation, you don't take itself too critical. The people that are watching are the fans, and
right.
You're grabbing all of the fans, and they are just super appreciative. It literally, Lower Decks in itself is a serious love letter to fans of just, we love that you love our show. And everyone loves to make fun of it in different ways. Let's all have a laugh, but also tell funny stories. It's literally like a group of people hanging out and telling the memory stories of, remember this, and wouldn't it be funny if this happened to this, and what would have happened to this, and drunk, and then your 2 drunk friends that talk about it get into an argument of why it wouldn't work, and this class of race is a better ship than this class of race from a different generation.
Look, we've I don't think we've done anything necessarily spoilery. I've mentioned a couple things. I am going to drop a spoiler tag if you haven't watched through Lower Decks season 4. I'm going to mention a character, and I'm going to mention a plot point and a theme and a story. that is a spoiler point that proves how good Lower Decks is. Because I believe it was Lower Decks season 2. They brought in God, what's his name? The actor for Tom Paris.
Oh yeah.
There was actually an episode in season 2 called "We'll Always Have Tom Paris," and the joke is that he shows up in Envoy to the Cerritos, and he walks around and he's touring the ship, and they're like, "Tom, can you take the helm and take us out?" And frickin' Captain goes, "Just don't send us to the Delta Quadrant." Like the senior officer laugh kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's great. Well, Tom Paris was not his first role in Star Trek. Do you remember what Tom Paris's first role was?
Yes, he was a cadet with
Cadet Locarno.
Yes, exactly. And I know the episode you're talking about too.
Yes, from the Next Generation. When he and Wesley and a whole bunch of other cadets were basically court-martialed.
Yeah.
For taking control of a starship.
No. They didn't do that. They were doing a maneuver because they were like Delta Squad or something like that.
Yeah, Delta Squadron. That's right. Yeah.
And they did a maneuver that got a cadet killed.
Yeah.
And he was the head of the squad.
Yeah.
He was a top flight pilot cadet, and then he got kicked out because of that, and that character became Tom Paris, or was the start of Tom Paris.
No. That character did not become Tom Paris. The actor was the same who played Locarno.
Well, it was inspired by, because he was a hotshot pilot.
Kind of, yes. Anyway, Lower Decks brought back Tom Paris for an episode, but then brought Locarno back as an antagonist.
Yes.
An obscure reference from 1992 to a court-martialed cadet who was disgracefully disbarred from Star Trek, who once Robert Duncan McNeil, thank you. Who they brought back Tom Paris, the voice actor, to voice Locarno, to basically play an out-of-control, power-hungry cadet who basically wants to destroy the universe, as the main antagonist for season 4, because who better to bring back as the antagonist to literally a Starfleet tugboat than a disgraced cadet?
Yes, I remember that, because that
freaking cinema.
Oh yeah, it's so funny. I think there's even a joke in the final episode where they reveal him. It's like, you do sound off a lot like Tom Paris.
Right. But again, it's taking like these obscure references and not taking yourself too seriously, but then telling a very serious story in the midst of all that makes Lower Decks so great. And God, if you love that, season 5, buckle the up.
Yeah.
Because it is full of that. Like, I referenced the characters, and I think if you've ever read the IMDb, like, you know the voice of T-Paul and the voice of Lily from Star Trek First Contact.
Oh, yeah.
And you know Harry Kim makes an appearance. Garrett Wang is Harry Kim. And so, like, you know the voice actors are present there. And they do play their characters. And they play them in ways that you would never expect them to be played. But they play them canonically, and they play them very seriously. But the reason they're there is because of a very unserious reason and a reference to, like, this obscure thing in Star Trek lore.
That's why I always, like I said, Lower Decks is literally a love letter.
Harry Kim shows up to a room full of other Harry Kims, and all the other Harry Kims go, "This Harry Kim's got 2 pips!" Wait, you were also ensigns?
That's how you know that's the false Harry Kim.
There's so much to that. It's so good.
I already knew. That's the evil Harry Kim.
There's so much to that.
That's funny.
But it's because they didn't take the source material too seriously. And they went, how absurd is it that this squad of this Delta squad from the Academy from 30 years ago got dishonorably discharged in the Academy. And then later on in Star Trek lore, the same actor becomes this hotshot lieutenant who literally saves Voyager and invents transwarp travel and is this brilliant engineer. Whatever happened to the cadet? And they bring the cadet back and tell his story. And it's great.
It's a lot like early on before this, it was Galaxy Quest.
Yeah.
You know, Galaxy Quest was like the love letter to Trek fans of like, we know you're missing something, and it's a constant homage to
it's Sigourney Weaver's character. Every time the ship goes, shields are at 78%. And she goes, Captain, the shields are at 78%. And he goes, I heard you. And she goes, you know what? I have one goddamn job on the ship, but I'm going to do it. It's stupid, but I'm going to do it. It's that referencing the canon and not taking the source material too seriously, but then all of a sudden taking it super seriously and telling a really good story because of it. It's the exact same thing.
Now, that would have been a great little Easter egg if someone had Galaxy Quest playing in the background of...
If only they could have gotten, like, Sigourney Weaver, or better yet, Justin Long.
Yeah.
To voice a character.
Something like that. That would have been great.
I can't tell the whole story, but they
or the aliens.
But they fade one of the Klingons to a purple Klingon at one point. If only they could have done that, but have it be like the aliens from Galaxy Quest. If they could have just flashed that on the screen for
something along that line, to just like, okay, we acknowledge
the fandom would have died because the universes are now converged.
Yes, exactly. That would have been like, oh yes,
yeah,
great. Yeah, that would have been fun. All right, well, it sounds like I gotta binge watch that in the next week or so.
Yeah.
Before I'm on the next show.
Yes. Yeah, you've got to binge watch because I need to hear about it. If you could do it in the next 2 weeks, I think about 2 weeks from now, I kind of want to schedule our all hands on deck live stream from potentially Sandy M Brewing. We'll contact them. We'll find a day. And maybe at the end of January, we'll do our all hands on deck year end show. Finally, now that I'm at least only mildly sick after 3 weeks. Good God. Yeah. So if you can watch it by then, and then we could do like a Star Trek roundup for our year-end show, I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, this was my most successful show in probably about 6 months. We had 219 concurrent viewers at one point.
There we go.
Like I'll take those numbers. We trended off over the last 30 minutes talking about Star Trek. We're down to 150.
I don't know. In chat was taking off.
Chat was popping off.
Yeah, chat was popping off. I'll tell you what.
I see you and I respect.
Yeah,
that's right. So yeah, this was fun. Elmo says it was Rutherford saying they have the same face. Tom Paris and Luncarno.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Is that a Fallout hoodie? It is. It's my Vault 33 hoodie.
I thought it was an LA Rams. I was like, dude, how dare you?
No.
Dude, no. For this year, Lions.
No.
Lions, baby.
God.
Lions. No.
You know me better than you know. I'm a freaking Detroit fan through and
I
through.
didn't. I was like, well, that's why I thought like gold, yellow. There's a number because I only saw it as it went down. I was like,
yeah, no, this is my Vault 30. I've got the Vault logo on the shoulder.
Yeah. Because well, again, I saw it quick, and I was like, I just saw a number, and it's blue and gold.
I got this for Christmas. My brother-in-law got me this for Christmas, and I freaking love this hoodie. So I will say, as a Lions fan, as a lifelong Lions fan, that I own an LA Rams jersey. I do own an LA
Okay.
Rams jersey. I own a Matthew Stafford LA Rams jersey. And the reason I have the LA Rams Stafford jersey is because when we traded him for Jared Goff, I went, Stafford needs a ring. Stafford couldn't get it in Detroit.
Yeah.
If he can get a ring, I'll support him. LA Rams made the Super Bowl the year we traded him. The week before the Super Bowl, I bought a Stafford jersey. And I wore that jersey for the LA Rams Super Bowl. And god damn if I wasn't super proud of my quarterback.
They bought that ring so hard.
I don't care. Stafford deserved a ring.
They purchased that ring so hard.
But since that trade, Jared Goff came to Detroit.
Oh, yeah.
And Jared Goff is my quarterback. I watched Jared Goff at Cal because I'm a good Pac-12 fan. And even though I'm an Oregon fan through and through, I loved watching Jared Goff at Cal.
Oh my
God, he was feisty. I always loved how he played. And then when he went to LA, I always thought he got a bum rap in LA. You know, makes the Super Bowl, and then they're like, "Run this bum out of town." It was his fault. It's like the defense had like 19 players on IR, and you blame Jared Goff for giving up too many points. Jared Goff got you there. He's a great quarterback, and he got a bum rap. But he got the bum rap, and they ran him out of town. And I went, you know what? I'll take Jared Goff in Detroit. I'll take that. And you know what he does? He turns in one of the most efficient 2 years of any quarterback in the league. He's not a freaking game manager. He's a freaking baller.
Well, that's what happens also when you have a staff and coaching behind you that actually believes in you and lets you do the things that you want to do.
Right. And
that's the thing, you know.
What is the purpose of a coach? It's to tell a player what to do? No, it's to put your players in a position to succeed. That's the purpose of a coach.
You have to know their talents, see it, and then say, I have to manage this in the best way possible. Not, you need to fit into my box. It's no, I need to take, it's a literally
if you have a
chess
crappy
player.
offensive line and you're running line plunges every other play, you're a bad coach.
Because you need to understand, you need to change it and find a better way to work around.
Your quarterback better not be holding the ball for more than 2.5 seconds if you have a crappy offensive line. You need to draft the receivers. You need to draft a really good slot receiver. You need to draft a good tight end who can be that outlet that after 2 seconds, if your receivers aren't open, I can hit that guy for 6 yards and basically turn that into a running play. That's how you succeed as a coach.
Yes, and then don't sit there and think, oh, I just need a receiver or something or a tight end, and then still run the exact same plays because that's all that was missing. No, there's probably other problems within your.
Do you know why Detroit is successful?
Coaching plays.
Is because when Dan Campbell came in, Matthew Stafford requested a trade, and Campbell and Glover both kind of went, well, cool, we can get our own guy then. We don't have to use the parts that were inherited to us. We can literally go out and get our own guy. You know what? We like Jared Goff. You know what they also did? That exact draft? They drafted Penei Sewell. What was it? 3rd or 4th overall? And if you haven't gone and watched the draft day for Penei Sewell, in which Dan Campbell gets on the phone with Penei Sewell and says, we're going to turn this thing around and you're literally going to be my fucking anchor. You are going to turn this franchise around. You, at the right tackle position, are the future of this franchise. We're going to build everything around you. We're going to run behind you. You're going to pass block for us. You are going to be our weapon. You are the reason we're going to succeed. We're going to draft around you. We're going to design for you. And you're going to be our future. And you know what? 4 years later, they're 15-2. Because that's exactly what they freaking did.
Yeah, 14-2. But yeah. No. Other than the first year where they were like, yeah, we had to scrape and scrap to see what it was. Second year, it was.
Second year, they were 9-8. Third year, they
9-8.
They were 12-5.
12-12, yeah.
Fifth year, they were 15-2.
15 if they win.
No, they're 15-2.
No, they're 14
17-game season, man.
14-2.
No, 15-2. Go look it up.
Well, whatever.
$50. $50.
But yeah.
$50. You got $50? Yes or no? Yes or no before you type. Yes or no?
I have $50. Okay. I didn't agree to
First beer at San Am. What are the lines?
That I will. Okay. All right.
First beer at San Am. What are the lines?
First beer at San Am. It is 12. No, oh, whoops, that's 2004. Why did it go to 2003 or 23? Ah, shoot. All right, you get a logger.
Thank you.
Yeah, 15-2.
15-2. 17-game season, 15-2.
Yeah, 15-2. But no, I mean, it really was the second day. Even in that, what was that? 3 or 4 the first year?
13-1 was Dan Campbell's first year.
But it wasn't a bad season because a lot of those were all one-score games.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is like, you look at a team just because they have a bad record and you see a one-score game, you're like, that's not horrible. You know, there's some minor mistakes, and it is 1 to 2 mistakes that cost you the game.
Yeah.
You know, it's workable. You can work with that, and then the next year you do that again, you fix those problems, you're a winning team.
Yeah.
You're in the 10-plus area, which is most likely a playoff contender other than this season.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Anyways,
they
we're
went,
gonna get into
they
sports.
went 3-13-1
to 9-8
to 9-8 to 12-5. Should have been 13-4 had it not been for Decker didn't declare eligible. He didn't.
Yeah.
Cowboys. To 15-2 and undisputed. Like, it's probably their year.
I hope so. I mean, like, even my wife and I were like, gotta be the life.
They fell 2 quarters short against the 49ers last year. In a game that they lost a couple times last year. They got big leads last year and then they gave them up.
Yeah.
What have they done this year?
Well,
they have rolled teams.
They have rolled
they've
teams.
gotten a couple big leads on teams. They've gone up 21-3 at the half. Do you know what they end those games at? 42-9.
Yeah. Yeah. They're
no longer playing not to lose once they get a lead.
There have been a few games, 1 or 2 here, where it was like they had the 20-9 lead, and then fourth quarter it was like 20-18. You're just like, oh, come on. And then they score. And you're like, okay,
right.
All right, we're good.
They did that against the Packers. They did that against the Bears the first time they played the Bears. But again, in your division, you kind of get those games. What did they do to Minnesota in Week 18 with the number 1 seed in the NFC on the line?
Oh, yeah. 9-38?
30,
something
yeah,
like
32-9, 38-9, 37-9, something like that.
It was 9-30 something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was more than...
They jumped on them from the get-go, and they never let them up for air.
Oh, exactly. And half of them were still in reserve. That's like third string offense.
And that's a team that finished 14-3, and that's what they did to them.
And they got a bunch of people healthy, too, for the playoffs. So
Montgomery's coming back, Anzalone's coming back, and if we go 2 more weeks, freaking Aiden Hutchinson's coming back.
No, he's not.
Aiden Hutchinson's coming back.
No, Hutchinson's... No.
If we play in the Super Bowl... If we go another month, if we play in the Super Bowl...
I don't know.
Hutchinson's playing in the Super Bowl.
If he gets hurt, his career is done.
If we play in the Super Bowl, Hutchinson plays in the Super Bowl.
I'm just saying, if I get that, but if he got hurt in the Super Bowl, his literal career would be
on
done
the other end from Zadarius Smith.
Year.
Can you think of a more frightening defensive line to face?
No, he is amazing. God. Like, he is gonna set some records
with Anzalone at Mike linebacker behind that. Oh my god!
Like the records the Watts have. He's probably going to beat them.
Oh yes.
All the TJ Watts and the whatever the other Watt, JT Watt or whatever. He's gonna.
Hutchinson played 4.5 games. He finished 9th in sacks for the season.
Yeah, exactly. So it's gonna
and
be
something
great.
like 14th in pressures. Total number, not average. Total. Yeah.
I gotta. we went from tech talk to Star Trek talk to now we're talking football.
That's right.
All right.
This is what you tune in for.
That's right.
Hey, look, we talked an hour of NVIDIA. We talked reviews. We talked luxury products. We talked... we didn't even get to AMD news. We didn't even talk 9900 or 9950X3D. We didn't talk Zen 2 Extreme, Zen 2 Standard, Zen 2 Base, which I have some thoughts there, and I'll probably get into that as soon as the first handheld of the new generation comes in, and how freaking weird AMD's naming standards are, and like AMD's doing everything right in the CPU space except naming their products. Yeah. I thought this was a good episode. This has been fun. Hope you all had fun too. But this has been episode 365 of Talking Heads. Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news. Subscribe to the channel if you like the beer content on this channel. Believe it or not, I actually show up on John's channel every once in a while. We talk beer over there in a more structured environment.
Yes, there'll be a very fun video. I'm hoping I didn't release it recently because I was working on the graphics card and trying to get the drivers for all of that. Yeah. But I have something a lot of people have been asking for on this channel for many, many years to Jeff to try.
Oh, no.
And I finally got him to try it.
Oh, no.
So.
You used my intro for that video, though, right?
I did. I did use your intro. So. All of that is there.
I got my moment in the sun. John's getting his revenge. It's a little bit for everything. A little bit for everyone.
So hopefully it should be coming out this week or beginning of next if I have time, because work always gets me crazy.
Yeah. Finish editing that one because I'm looking forward to watching that one. That was a super interesting video.
It's also hard to edit because you just laugh. Like, you're sitting there watching it and you're just like laughing because of the memories. I was like, oh god, that's so bad.
Yeah, this is the selection of 4 and you have to guess, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
yes,
okay,
exactly.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
I can still taste it and I hate it. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, we'll see you next week.
See you guys.